lost waves taking over 2/3 of hearing in his left ear. Harrison Ford. Harrison Ford has played some of the coolest characters in the galaxy, and none may be cooler than a stuck-up, half-witted, scruffy-looking nerve-herder named Han Solo.
This is the Millennium Falcon. You're Han Solo.
From the first time he saunters on screen in Star Wars A New Hope, bringing sexy and vests back, to his final frames in The Force Awakens, Ford defined rebel with a cause for the geek generation. He also almost lost his leg during his last term as Solo. While walking on set during The Force Awakens, Ford was strolling through the pieces that make up the Millennium Falcon. Unfortunately, he didn't know the set was live and that the hydraulics were active. One of the doors in the Falcon served as a blunt guillotine, barely missing his face and pinning the actor to the ground. The accident dislocated his ankle, and the force of the door caused his legs to kick and slap a ramp, breaking both bones in his left leg. Ford missed time, and the production company responsible for the set was fined over $2 million for the negligence. For his part, Ford has kept a sense of humor about it, describing the injury in gory detail on late-night talk shows, including reenacting the accident with action figures.
Oh, no. It's okay. It's okay.
Jared Leto. It doesn't always have to be an accident that causes permanent damage. Sometimes an actor's dedication to the role can be their own worst nightmare, as it often is with Jared Leto. The manically method actor was well known for showing off his Joker side during the filming of Suicide Squad. While his co-stars laughed off the odd behavior, fans of Leto know he usually turns things up to 11 to get the part just right. Leto lost a tremendous amount of weight for his films, playing super skinny characters in Requiem for a Dream and Dallas Buyers Club. Losing the weight, however, didn't do as much damage as putting on almost 70 pounds to play Mark David Chapman in Chapter 27. Playing the killer of John Lennon, Leto needed to gain weight quickly to start shooting. In order to pack on the pounds, the actor would microwave pints of ice cream every night. He'd toss in some soy sauce and olive oil and down the calorie bombs before bed.
God, you went so crazy. I think you're insane.
The extreme and sudden increase resulted in a case of the gout for Leto, who needed to use a wheelchair to move around set when the pain became unbearable. Brad Pitt. Most people would agree that Brad Pitt is a fortunate dude. He's handsome, talented, and rich, seemingly the proverbial whole package. He does have faults, however, including being clumsy. He's had more than one on-set accident make its way into the final cut of the movie. During the filming of Seven in 1995, Pitt sliced a tendon in his hand while running through a rain-filled set. Some of the post-accident footage remains in the chase scene, and director David Fincher ended up making his character have a broken arm to keep filming delays to a minimum. Pitt ended up spending the latter half of the film with his arm in a sling, letting his fake and real injuries heal. 10 years later, Pitt would suffer another on-screen injury. This one, much more ironic. While filming the final scene of the movie Troy, Pitt injured his ankle area, his on-screen grimace matching his real pain. While he didn't suffer an arrow through the back of his heel, he did rupture his Achilles tendon, an extremely painful and long injury. So, the actor playing the Greek mythological hero Achilles, whose only weakness is his Achilles heel, suffered a torn Achilles.
Achilles. I remember the name.
It sounds so fake it has to be real. George Clooney, one of Brad's besties. George Clooney also suffered a serious onset injury. No, we're not referring to his pride after 1997's Batman and Robin almost single-handedly killed the superhero film genre. Seriously, a bad credit card?
7 minutes. Never leave the cave without it.
Clooney obviously, somehow, managed to have himself a pretty decent career after that abomination. Almost all of them great movies, including Syriana. In that movie, Clooney plays Bob Barnes, a veteran CIA officer. He gained almost 40 pounds for the role. That extra weight did not help when he smacked his head during a torture scene. The accident severely injured his back, causing fluid to leak from his spinal cord. He spent weeks in the hospital, suffering from horrendous headaches, considering drastic measures to put an end to his pain and suffering. He struggled with heavy doses of pain medication, which only seemed to worsen the situation. With the help of therapy, both physical and mental, his body and mind eventually healed and he went back to work. He still has headaches and random pops in his ear from the accident. Clooney literally suffered for his role, but it wasn't without reward. Clooney won his first and only for acting Oscar at the 2005 Academy Awards.
What's it gonna be, Dodge? Huh?
Leonardo DiCaprio. Leonardo DiCaprio turned many heads as Calvin James Candy in Quentin Tarantino's ode to the spaghetti western, Django Unchained. tense. During one take, you feel his inner scene in the original movie. The adrenaline in Leo's body was needed to combat the massive movement of his hand. As he slammed his fist onto the table, DiCaprio hit a glass that had moved from the previous take, shattering it and embedding pieces of glass in his hand.
He is a rambunctious sword, ain't he?
Undeterred, Leo carried on, ad-libbing movements and actions, incorporating his new and unplanned wound into the scene. One of those moments was smearing blood across an unsuspecting Kerry Washington's face. Director Tarantino loved the realness of the moment, and it became the scene used in the movie. Something tells us, though, that he'd take that cut 1,000 times over versus his filming conditions on The Revenant, where he spent weeks crawling in mud and eating raw bison liver.
Mister Bond.
Daniel Craig. Actors enjoy doing their own stunts, keeping it real for the fans, while insurance companies, and surely their loved ones, would prefer that they take it easy. It's easy to understand the appeal of so deeply immersing yourself into a character that you must film every scene. Sometimes, though, those characters have a very dangerous profession, like super spy James Bond. 007 has been a stalwart in cinema, with over 20 films and 7 actors playing the most well-known member of the British Secret Service. The most recent actor to fill those trick shoes is English actor Daniel Craig. He's played Bond 4 times and has the scars to prove it. During his first Bond film, Casino Royale, he lost 2 teeth. He took a hit to the face requiring plastic surgery and sliced off the top of a finger filming Quantum of Solace. More Bond films meant more injuries, and Craig kept his curse alive during the filming of the most recent Bond film, Spectre. He severely injured his knee while filming a fight scene with actor Dave Bautista. He should have had immediate surgery, but pushed through the pain. After the film wrapped, he had multiple surgeries on the knee.
Those wings carbon fiber?
Is this stuff coming out of you?
That would explain the rigidity-flexibility ratio, which, gotta say, that's awesome.
I don't know if you've been in a fight before, but there's usually not this much talking.
Alright, sorry, my bad.
Tom Holland. Spider-Man officially joined the Marvel Cinematic Universe when he teamed up with Tim Stark in Captain America Civil War. Tom Holland's portrayal of the web-slinger whipped fans into a froth of anticipation for his feature film debut. Spider-Man Homecoming will be released this July, and social media is pumped to see Holland's best friend Harrison under the red and blue spandex. Okay, that's not the main reason. In fact, it's not a reason at all, but whether they know it or not, one of Tim's best mates had to fill in for a few shots due to an injury Holland had during filming. As with most actors, Holland attempted to perform his own stunts, once again proving youth is wasted on the young. One of the stunts involved Spidey climbing some stairs, and since Holland actually can't stick to walls, the actor fell backwards and injured his ACL. Since the accident was near to the end of filming, he was able to finish filming.
That was awesome!
Hi guys! They're destroying the whole town!
One of his final scenes involved Spider-Man chasing a bus, and Holland was unable to run. Hence, having Harrison wear the Spidey suit, running after the bus. Fans never know.
Well, I understood the landing a little better. It's just a new suit. Well, it's something. It's part of it. Thank you.
That was 10 actors that needed 10 very large band-aids to take care of their movies. We all know Disney loves to toss in Easter eggs to its past work in their films. From hidden Mickeys to sneaky references that go unnoticed until someone points them out, Disney films are littered with callbacks and references to other Disney films. But what about films and shows that aren't owned by the Mouse House? Well, Disney has you covered there. Sometimes the egg is so well hidden, it might take you years to find it, or you're just checking with CBR, obviously. But don't forget to like and subscribe to stay up to date with new posts from CBR Daily.
Give me that.
Moana. Can you smell what The Rock is cooking? Disney's Moana did a great job in portraying the culture of ancient Polynesia, showcasing the right respect for the people, costumes, and mythology to create a believable film. One of the conduits that helped sell the believability was Dwayne Johnson's portrayal of the demigod Maui. Maui was a blast, serving as not only comedic relief for the journey, but also to guide our heroine Moana through her journey.
Not every day you get a chance to meet your hero.
In the film, the titular Moana is chosen by the ocean to return a magical relic to a goddess while also aiming to save her people people from a terrible blight. Maui serves as her magical aid, and despite his awesome powers and charming wit, just like Dwayne Johnson, the filmmakers couldn't resist throwing in a very subtle reference to Johnson's previous personage. Before he became one of the most popular actors working in cinema today, Dwayne Johnson was a WWE champ known globally as The Rock. Many fans still refer to Johnson as The Rock, and Disney found a subtle way to include this piece of mythology into their own. In the film, the ridiculously dumb chicken known as Heihei decides it's a good idea to eat a rock. Later in the film, Maui actually tries to eat Heihei, which would have actually put The Rock back in The Rock. We're glad Heihei didn't actually get eaten. It would have been fun to see Maui eat a rock at some point.
I love it.
Zootopia, we gotta be honest with you. We didn't see this one coming. Disney films are always chock full of clever references, but those hidden Easter eggs are usually from other family-friendly medias or classic cinema at best. Zootopia decided to abandon convention and insert a very obvious reference towards one of the greatest and most mature television shows this decade. We are, of course, talking about the hit AMC show Breaking Bad. In the film's third act, Nick and Judy find themselves in a lab that will look eerily familiar to fans of the award-winning show. In the lab, there are two sheep named Everett, Walter, and Jesse, who are both sporting yellow jumpsuits akin to the ones that Walter White and Jesse Pinkman used while cooking their batches in Breaking Bad. We're not too sure what kids thought was going on here, but we have to admit that we got a serious kick out of seeing this reference in the film. The film would also toss in a quick reference to The Godfather, which makes us wonder if Disney was really making this film for adults with all these references. I'm not through with you yet. Wreck-It Ralph. Ugh, where to even start with this one? This whole film could technically be considered a giant Easter egg in and of itself, with the constant references to video game culture and classic game characters popping into the film, from Bowser to the Pac-Man Ghost to Sonic the Hedgehog himself. In short, we could probably make a few videos on all the Easter eggs in Wreck-It Ralph, but we're going to focus on one that's a bit more extreme. Early on in the film, Ralph finds himself inflicted with depression, unable to accept the fact that he's a villain and won't be rewarded with a medal because of it. He goes to the game Tappers to talk to the bar's namesake about his problems. Keep your eyes peeled for bonus Easter eggs in the scene. Tapper suggests that Ralph should check out the Lost and Found, as it's theoretically possible that someone might have forgotten it. The first item Ralph picks up is easy, the classic Mario mushroom. But what about that random exclamation mark? This one's a bit tougher for the uninitiated, as a random exclamation mark means nothing, but the sound cue is a dead giveaway. Disney tossed in a reference to the classic game series Metal Gear Solid. While Disney films are always family-friendly, the Metal Gear series is an emulated video game series from Japan that sees Super Spy Solid Snake take on all manner of nefarious villains through the decades. It's nice to see that Disney's not immune to just simply referencing kid stuff. At present, Deadpool's regeneration and healing powers are the most prominently displayed superpowers on film to date. Not counting Wolverine Origins, because who doesn't really? The first Deadpool movie chose not to bog down audiences with complicated power and origin backstories. We're here to set the record straight about Deadpool. He's one of the most versatile and powerful superheroes thanks to a wide range of often overlooked abilities. Remember to get your subscribing on to CBR before you watch. It's like getting a present in your inbox every day.
Let's make clear. Spread was death.
Death, party of none. Deadpool's superpower activation is a result of scientific experimentation by Ajax in a last-ditch effort to rid himself of terminal cancer. As a result, much like Wolverine, Deadpool developed accelerated regenerative healing abilities. Wilson can heal himself out of pretty much any injury, and over the years, adversaries have found it pretty much impossible to kill him. The dude just keeps coming back, and back, and back again. But what if we told you the reason Deadpool can't die is not because of his accelerated healing factor, but because of his semi-friends with benefit status with death? That's right, actual death, with a capital D. Oh, and did we mention that death is a movie? That's it. Along with the Death and Deadpool, Death was cozying enough to Thanos. Those two had a real thing going on. That is, until Death met with Wilson. Death made it clear the two would never do anything, not even kiss, until Deadpool died. At that point, even though Deadpool could regenerate himself out of almost any injury, he still had a few vulnerabilities. He could die.
Yeah, maybe we'll have him too. And go.
That potential was enough for Thanos to act. Thanos, jealous and angry, did the one thing that could stop Death and Deadpool from ever having a relationship. He makes Deadpool immortal. Good luck trying to get rid of Death now that you're going to live forever. Regardless of his healing factor, even if that somehow got taken away, Deadpool will not die. Like Like in the comics, when Deadpool was decapitated, he grew a new head and kept living. Merry Christmas. Transportation device. One of the most challenging aspects of being a superhero is getting from place to place. Sure, if you're Iron Man, you can fly to wherever the big showdown is happening. Nightcrawler can bam, teleport to his next location. But what does a non-flying, non-super speed, non-teleporting superhero do when they need to get to it quite fast? In the movie, Deadpool hires a taxi service. Applebee's detective drives him to his destinations. They talk to get out of the truck. And the load for Deadpool offers romance advice to the family about his love. It's a pleasant experience. However, this is not an efficient way to get to a fight. When stuck in traffic, get a flat tire. Maybe even run out of gas, making Deadpool late. The point is, it's bad. In the comic books, Deadpool uses technology to aid his transportation, including a personal teleportation device. The device is small, and he keeps it on him at all times. The need for teleportation came out of Deadpool's original villainous inclinations. When he was fighting superheroes, he needed to make quick escapes or risk getting caught by an enemy hero. The teleportation device provided a swift exit that makes it difficult for Deadpool's foes to follow him. The transportation device has not been embraced by the villain yet. Maybe in Deadpool 2 we'll see this use a teleportation device, but then we won't get to see Deadpool. Number 3. Resistance to toxins and drugs. There are many parallels that are drawn between Wolverine and Deadpool. Both were participants in the Weapon X program, though Deadpool volunteered for the experimentation because of his cancer. Please, thank you. Both superheroes have accelerated healing factors. They both love their spandex costumes, and they're both Canadian. An additional similarity between them relates to their inability to be intoxicated and be drugged. Deadpool's accelerated healing is a multifaceted component of superhero makeup that protects him on several fronts. Deadpool's metabolism is off the charts. His cells are burning calories, and that means it's burning off sugar, fats, toxins, and alcohol. Not as touching on the films as in the comics, Deadpool's super-resistant genetics means foreign substances are not absorbed by his body. While it's possible with excessively high doses for Deadpool to be effective, it's a challenge for him to be dosed as such an amount might render him incapacitated. Poisons, tranquilizers, mind-control drugs, even regular aspirin have little to no effect on Wilson. His cells are burning off the substance's side effects the moment it reaches his bloodstream. This forces his enemies to have to rely on other means to attack him. While he can feel the effects of alcohol, it would take a lot of drinking to make it happen. In the comics, Deadpool has been seen drinking booze, but it barely gets him intoxicated. Even then, when he wakes up the next day, he's fresh and ready to kick some butt. No hangovers here. Talk about a superpower. Oh, hello. I know, right? Deadpool sees us, seeing him, seeing us. Deadpool directly addressing and interacting with his audiences and fans is often a source of humor, whether that's through a television screen or in a comic book panel. Wade Wilson knows that we know he exists. While it may seem strange that a superhero has self-awareness, it's significant for Deadpool. Yes, at times, Deadpool will give a wink or a knowing nod to the audience to show us that he sees something. He's making us a part of an inside joke or giving us vital information. However, this is more than a gag. Deadpool's awareness that he's in comic books and movies is a part of his superpowers.
Fourth wall break inside a fourth wall break. That's like 16 walls.
The characters around him, Captain America, Wolverine, Dr. Kilbrew, they have no idea that they're part of a pre-scripted storyline in a fictional universe. Deadpool can use this knowledge to his advantage, and he often does. It makes him acutely aware of the stakes involved in fighting. He can perceive the reality of a situation. Iron Man may be a genius, but he can't turn to the audience and explain the back history to get everyone up to speed. This allows him to be knowledgeable about other universe information that he would not ordinarily know because he's not a part of that plot. This makes him smarter, faster, and able to adapt better. This superpower is rare and is exhibited by few members of the Marvel comics and films, making Deadpool an asset for any team that he's on. Invulnerability to psychic attacks. When we talk about accelerated healing factor, like in the case of Wolverine, we're usually discussing it in relation to physical regeneration. Wolverine's body spits bullets back out. His wounds heal immediately. In the comics, Deadpool can be decapitated and his head grows back perfectly fine. We know that this is partially thanks to his Thanos-bestowed immortality. Deadpool's accelerated cell regeneration allows him quick recovery during fights. We're always thinking about healing in relation to the body, but those aren't the only cells being affected by Wilson's healing factor, so are his brain cells. All cells die and regenerate, and brain cells are no different. That means Deadpool's brain cells are subject to the same healing factor as his body. What makes this healing unique is how the replenishing brain cells protect Wade Wilson. Unlike Magneto, Deadpool does not have to wear some shiny helmet to keep out the telepaths. Deadpool is nearly invulnerable to any telepathic and psychic attacks due to his healing factor. If, for example, Jean Grey were telepathically trying to cripple Deadpool in a fight, his healing factor would be able to outpace the telepathic waves of Grey. With Deadpool's ability to withstand a psychic attack, it gives him the freedom to be able to focus on the actual fighting in front of him. Besides, if a telepath could break through into Wilson's head, is that a place that you really want to be in the first place? We didn't think so. Immune to disease. Do superheroes get sick days? We've already established that Deadpool can physically heal from any wound and cannot die courtesy of Thanos. But getting your arm chopped off and having it grow back is very different from getting the flu. Or waking up one morning with a stuffy nose and sore throat, wanting to call out of X Factor that day because you don't feel well. Maybe Deadpool was out late one night, fighting Juggernaut. It was cold out, pouring rain, and he got soaked through his spandex. He's been working a lot of late nights. His body, though no cuts or bruises, is worn down. Regardless of any superpowers, every mutant has an immune system. Couldn't Deadpool get sick? The answer is no. Deadpool cannot get sick. Imagine being able to live forever and never worry about getting the sniffles. The combination of his cancer with the scientific experimentation triggered an immunity to diseases. Deadpool gets to live out his immortality without ever having to take Dayquil before suiting up. Getting to live forever is awesome, but getting to live forever and never getting into the cold is winning the jackpot. Wilson's immunity to illness and diseases gives him an advantage over his opponents. Sure, Juggernaut may be difficult to stop, but he can still get sick, wake up one morning with bronchitis. Sure, he'll still be able to fight, but not as well as Deadpool. He is always going to be in peak physical condition. A stomach bug we can't promise. Those chimichangas sure can do a number on you. Holographic imaging. A hired mercenary, sometimes Deadpool needs to go undercover to get the job done. He is a hired gun after all. Someone's gotta pay the bills. It's easy to spot a full-grown man in red and black spandex wielding a sword rushing towards you. That is not so subtle. He also can't walk down the street with his cancer face, because that's gonna scare away everyone in his path. Because of the experimentation by Ajax in the film, Deadpool's face is, well, horrific. There's no polite way to say it. His is the face that only a mother could love, so to speak.
You look like an avocado.
Deadpool's disfiguration makes it difficult for him to go out into public. Gluing on a fake nose won't exactly do it. Wilson tries covering his face with a hoodie in the movie, but that isn't enough protection either. What's a mercenary to do? Holograms. In the comic books, thanks to technology used by X-Men, Beast, and Nightcrawler, Deadpool gets his hands on a holographic imager. Although he's only able to disguise himself over his costume with the device, it does allow him the freedom to be out in public. He can get close to his mark without being detected. While the Deadpool films have yet to embrace this technology and have Wilson wandering around in his spandex, there's still a possibility of it showing up thanks to his working relationship with the X-Men.
I forgot my ammo bag.
Shall we turn back?
No time.
Expert marksman. The sequence on the bridge, also known as Let's Count 'Em Down in the Deadpool film, might seem like a cool action sequence that makes us laugh, squirm, and cheer our protagonist on. When you stop to think about it, though, there's much more there than simply a fun time. The film is creating a moment that's as much about enjoyment as it is about passing on valuable information. Deadpool is showing us one of his superpowers that does not often get talked about. He's an expert marksman. He can hit his targets from awkward angles when his body's contorted or in motion. He can also use different types of weaponry, from guns to swords, with the same precision. Deadpool tells us he only has 2 guns on him, each with 6 bullets for a total of 12 individual shots.
9, 10, 11, 12 bullets, 4 busts.
While this ordinarily would not be a problem, Deadpool finds himself running out of ammunition. He might be saying, but wait, bullets 10 through 8, he doesn't hit his mark on the motorcycle. This is true, but Deadpool at that point wasn't really trying. Bad Deadpool. He was frustrated and angry and shooting instead of thinking. He even berates himself multiple times. He finally finds himself with 1 bullet and 3 guys to finish off. While twisting in midair, Deadpool perfectly lines up the 3 remaining men, one right behind the other. With his last bullet, Deadpool cleanly shoots all 3.
Real dialogue. I mean, if you could jump.
I have some terrible news. You have bug eyes! They're destroying the whole town!
Super endurance. Deadpool's accelerated healing factor is the nexus of many of his additional, lesser-known superhero abilities. Some of these powers are not as visible, but are more often the current underneath helping make things work. While these additional abilities may not be as well known, that does not mean that they're second-rate. Deadpool uses a combination of his abilities to defeat his opponents. A significant and unseen power is Deadpool's endurance. Being able to last in a marathon fight is not the type of superpower one can see with their eyes, like Wilson's regeneration or teleportation. Endurance is energy it takes Deadpool to continue to fight when other superheroes would have long ago finished due to exhaustion. At some point, Iron Man runs out of energy. Spider-Man needs to take a break.
You're done, alright? Yeah, good job. Stay down.
I'm fine. The lactic acid that builds up in muscles and cells, which is true of every human being, super or not, reduces stamina. The cell regeneration eliminates the buildup of these fatiguing toxins. Deadpool can withstand numerous attacks over extended periods of time and fight with peak performance. Deadpool can also withstand a great amount of punishment that's not just physical, but mental as well. Endurance also refers to the mental strength that helps the superhero push through during his lowest moments, like when he's getting beat up or experimented on by Ajax. Knowing that you can heal and get back up is one thing, but having the inner strength and stamina to do so is another.
I did not tell him to do that.
Multiple Deadpool personalities. Who is the real Wade Wilson? Will we ever truly know? While we do see Wilson speak out loud to himself at times during the film, they never outright explore the possibility that there are more than one Deadpool personalities. In the comic books, however, there are multiple personalities that Wilson refers to as Deadpools. There is no official count on how many Deadpools are living inside Wilson's mind. This aspect of Deadpool's superpowers is considered both a strength and a weakness. Combined with his immunity against telepathic attacks, Deadpool is fully protected on all fronts from mental assaults or hijacking. If Professor X goes looking for Deadpool and ends up with one of the other consciousnesses, it could end badly. There are so many personalities, fractures, and instability in that cancerous head of his that it does affect Deadpool's ability to function. There's an instability and unpredictability because there's no clean trigger for the personalities coming out. He can have outbursts of anger. It can make it difficult to trust him, especially when working on a team together like X-Men or X-Force. In the comic books, the personalities are distinguished from one another, and it's clear when Deadpool is having conversations with them. Artists will draw the dialogue bubbles in assorted styles, using different fonts and colors to distinguish them from Deadpool. This superpower has a lot of potential for exploration. If Deadpool can house multiple personalities from his own fractured psyche, what other consciousnesses could he store?
This is not gonna end well for you, no.
Now you know more about Deadpool than you ever thought you would. You may even know more about Deadpool than you do about your own mother now. Did we leave any superpowers out? What do you think about Deadpool now? Let us know in the comments below. If you didn't subscribe at the start of this video because you were so excited to dive into Deadpool, you can subscribe now so you don't miss out. While you're at it, remember to like and share it with all your friends. Otherwise, Deadpool might come find you and, well, now you know what he can do. With great characters comes great responsibility, and for the last decade and a half, studios have been doing their best to bring everyone's favorite web-slinger the big screen adaptation he deserves. Since 2002, the world has seen 5 Spider-Man movies, and we'll be getting a 6th film with 2017's Spider-Man Homecoming, hitting theaters in June. Before we get too excited about that movie, however, it's time to take a closer look at Spidey and reveal some facts that Marvel and Sony have been keeping secret for years. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this video. And before you leave, make sure you subscribe to CBR to stay in the loop with all of our new awesome stuff. Here are 10 secrets Marvel never revealed about Spider-Man movies. Green villains. With the Spider-Man franchise being rebooted twice in just 15 years, there were bound to be some things that connected the different renditions of the web-slinger. Fans know about the costumes and the similar actors, but most people probably didn't realize this one. In each of the big screen adaptations of the web-slinger, the first villain that the hero faces is the color green. For Tobey Maguire, it was the Green Goblin. For Andrew Garfield, it was the Lizard. And for Tom Holland's upcoming turn in Spider-Man Homecoming, he'll face off against Vulture, yet another green-colored villain. This may just be a fun coincidence, or maybe it's a clue to some sneaky secret Marvel's hiding from us. Only time will tell. Peter Parker's landlord. Comic book movies are famous for being jam-packed with references and hidden Easter eggs, and it'd take more than a few videos to get through all the secret messages in the Spider-Man movies. We've got to start somewhere though, so let's take a minute to talk about Peter Parker's grumpy landlord. The man was rather unmemorable, but serious Marvel fans may have realized that his name, Mr. Ditkovich, is actually a reference to Spider-Man co-creator Steve Ditko. While this isn't quite a Stan Lee cameo, it's nice to see the film pay homage to the man who helped create the neighborhood spider we know and love.
Kelly,
Wolverine cameo. Ever since the incredible success of 2016's Deadpool, Marvel fans have been clamoring for Wolverine to make an appearance in the sequel. Sadly, it doesn't look like that's going to happen, as Hugh Jackman has hung up his claws for good. Jackman has appeared as the character 9 times, but there was actually almost one more. In fact, there was a planned cameo for Hugh Jackman as Wolverine in the original Spider-Man movie, and the Australian actor actually came all the way over to New York to film the scene. Unfortunately, the plans had to be scrapped when the crew were unable to get access to the famous Wolverine costume. Details on what the scene would have been like are scarce, but this crossover moment would have undoubtedly caused hysteria from the Marvel fanboys. What a beautiful world we used to live in, where competing studio crossovers were only limited by available costumes and not all the legal mumbo-jumbo we have to deal with today.
Well, that's a first.
Recasting Maguire. Although fans have some varied opinions these days, in 2002, Tobey Maguire was the one and only Spider-Man. What fans may not know is that the actor nearly had to drop out of his second go as Spidey after suffering a very bad back injury while filming Seabiscuit. While this was definitely unfortunate news, the studio had no plans to cancel the sequel, and they actually brought in a young Jake Gyllenhaal to take over the role of Spider-Man. This recasting apparently made things pretty awkward on set, and thankfully Maguire was able to recover from his injury and take his part back. If you were paying close attention, you can even catch Maguire referencing the back injury in Spider-Man 2. When Peter Parker tries to leap off of a building shouting, "I'm back, I'm back," he first pauses and winces as he stands saying, "My back, my back." My back. Oh, my back. Andrew Garfield's spare time. Although the actor was not everyone's favorite choice to play Peter Parker, he did do a pretty good job of playing Spider-Man. It was reported that Garfield would use his breaks from shooting to go around to local New York City basketball courts and play hoops with kids, all while still wearing his Spidey suit. If that doesn't sound like enough fun, how about the fact that Garfield also found love on the set of The Amazing Spider-Man? The leading man and his co-star, Emma Stone, weren't just love interests in the movie, but they actually started dating in real life as well. Mary Jane. These days, we hear a lot of stories about actors who were almost cast in famous roles or who ended up turning down parts at the last minute. What's more uncommon, though, is stories where actors actually film their scene only to have them cut out at the last minute. Before The Amazing Spider-Man, actress Shailene Woodley was actually cast as Mary Jane Watson, and she even filmed scenes for the movie. However, her entire character ended up getting scrapped because the filmmakers felt that there were too many characters and that it would end up being a muddled mess. Unfortunately for the team behind this franchise, even cutting out MJ wasn't enough to save the series from being scrapped after the second flick. Planned sequels. If you thought the end of The Amazing Spider-Man 2 was an overstuffed and confusing mess, you definitely weren't alone, as the movie was panned for trying to fit in way too much. As it turns out, this was done on purpose, as the end of the second movie for the rebooted franchise was actually meant to set up 2 sequels and an extended universe. If all went well, we were going to get The Amazing Spider-Man 3 and The Amazing Spider-Man 4, and there were also lots of rumors about other heroes and villains joining the universe. In the end, Sony scrapped the plans, and a few years later, they decided to let Peter Parker joined the MCU. In recent weeks, there have been rumors circulating about a Spider-Verse coming to fruition, and it looks like we'll at least be getting a Venom movie. Who knows where they'll go from there, and whether or not people will buy into the franchise. Spidey age. One of the biggest criticisms of the first 2 Spider-Man franchises was that the actors were far too old to play a believable teenage version of Peter Parker. Critics weren't in the wrong, as Tobey Maguire was 25 for his first go as Spidey, and Andrew Garfield was 26. Marvel heard the critics and went much younger, casting a 19-year-old Tom Holland to play Spider-Man in their cinematic universe. Interestingly, Spidey's level in school has also varied throughout the years. In 2002 Spider-Man, Peter Parker was a senior. In The Amazing Spider-Man, he was a junior, and in Spider-Man Homecoming, we'll get to see Peter Parker the sophomore. From what we've seen online so far, it seems like fans are excited to see a more appropriately aged rendition of the web slinger.
I got homework.
I'm pretending to say that.
Acrobatic Tom Holland. Once it was announced that Spider-Man would indeed be joining the MCU, the world began to speculate as to which actor would take up the famous role. Names like Donald Glover and Daniel Radcliffe were being thrown around, but as we now know, the part went to Tom Holland. If you want to see something cool, take a deep dive into Holland's Instagram account. The weekend before Tom Holland was announced as Spider-Man, he actually posted 3 videos where he showed off his backflip skills. After the casting was announced, many websites used these videos to show why he was going to be right for the role. We have to think that Holland's publicist got a nice big bonus after coming up with this genius way of promoting a young acrobatic star. Spider auditions. For years and years, we've heard crazy stories from behind the scenes of famous actors' auditions, but this one takes the cake. The audition in question doesn't actually feature a human actor at all, as it turns out that actual Spider auditions were held for the 2002 Spider-Man movie. Director Sam Raimi wanted the perfect Spider for the iconic moment where Peter Parker receives the initial bite, and his first choice was actually a Black Widow Spider. Understandably, a real Black Widow Spider would have been far too dangerous, so the crew actually brought in a bunch of different Spiders to audition for the coveted position. Eventually, the filmmakers settled on one Spider, but it still wasn't the right color. CGI wasn't what it is today, so Sam Raimi and his team busted out the makeup kits and actually painted the Spider so it would have the red and blue look they were hoping for.
Just a new suit. Well, it's something, Mr. Stark. It's perfect. Thank you.
Well, that wraps up our list of 10 secrets Marvel never revealed about Spider-Man movies. Which one of these cool Spidey facts did you like the best? Who's been your favorite Spider-Man actor so far? Let us know all your thoughts in the comment section down below. Be sure to subscribe to CBR to stay involved with all of our new videos. Thanks for watching!
Who doesn't love the super terrifying yet awesome symbiote Venom? He can attach to anyone and instantly transform them. Well, sure they become evil, but they do get really cool abilities.
You know what it feels like? It feels good. The power.
There's a lot of these abilities that give Venom the upper hand over Spider-Man. Want to know what they are? Watch this video to find out. Before we get started, don't forget to make that subscribe button your symbiote. It attaches you to be part of the super awesome CBR notification squad and keeps you up to date with all the cool videos.
Come on, you hate Spider-Man. Both of us do.
The Venom symbiote can evolve. One of the coolest things that sets the Venom symbiote apart from our wall-crawling hero is the fact that it almost always changing and adapting to its environment. And most importantly, its host. That's why we're able to see so many versions of Venom. Over the years, Venom has seen numerous changes, and it's become more accustomed to fighting Spider-Man and various other heroes and villains. Does this mean its skills are adapting also? Well, yes. After merging with its host, the Venom symbiote has the ability to gain that person's unique powers and abilities, even their intellect. Theoretically, if Venom were to bond with all the heroes in the Marvel Universe, it could become pretty much an unstoppable monster that would cause havoc all over the world. Its knowledge of every one of its host's fighting styles and powers give it insider information that is invaluable in the heat of battle. Venom basically has the potential to be the greatest and coolest villain ever in the MCU. Luckily, Venom hasn't done that quite yet, but since it's initially bonded with Spider-Man, it grants anyone it bonds to afterwards his abilities, plus any additional alien abilities it carries around.
I really need to be with Aunt May.
Sure, we'll see each other soon enough. Spider-Man.
Venom's power fluctuates based on how much its host hates Spidey. This is certainly one of the strangest powers of the Venom symbiote, but depending on who it's bonded with, Venom's power increases or decreases based on how much the host hates Spider-Man. Since Spider-Man's initial rejection of the symbiote, it has a festering resentment to the web-slinger, thus granting more powers and abilities to hosts that hate Spider-Man.
Hey, Parker.
Misery loves company, but it sounds like resentment does too. You see, when the symbiote bonded with Eddie Brock, it had a full range of powers and abilities that make Venom a worthy adversary to Spider-Man. That's because Brock has an intense hatred for Spider-Man due to some professional conflicts at the Daily Bugle.
When are you gonna give a guy a break?
You want forgiveness?
And the symbiote sensed it and wanted to bond with him. It seems that Venom has an I hate Spidey sense that attracts it to people who hate the beloved webhead. However, when Mac Gargan bonded with the symbiote, its powers were significantly weakened, and Spider-Man suggested the reason was because Gargan didn't hate him as much as Eddie Brock did. Spider-Man was able to defeat this version of Venom swiftly, and it posed very little threat to him. Venom generates endless webbing. Depending on which Spider-Man canon you follow, this is a bit of a toss-up. In many incarnations of the Spider-Man story, he generates his webbing from his body, and this was a part of the powers he acquired when the radioactive spider bit him. In other versions, Peter Parker develops web shooters on his own via scientific experimentation, and on several occasions his web cartridges have run out, leaving him falling from the sky, rocketing toward the ground. Heck, even in the Sam Raimi films, he also runs out of the webbing when he begins to doubt his powers. Case in point, the web slinger sometimes runs out of web to sling. So sad. But guess who doesn't have to worry about running out of webbing? That's right, Venom never has to worry about this issue, as the symbiote suit can generate endless webbing for his host, letting that person fly carelessly through the city without worrying about how much webbing they have left.
Whoa! My suit has cruise control.
It's a gift that some iterations of Peter Parker wish to have. Unfortunately, if Venom uses too much of this endless webbing ability, it can cause the symbiote suit to weaken, leaving it vulnerable to attacks.
Peter Parker. No, wait. How about that guy from Aerosmith?
Venom can shapeshift. Almost all depictions of Venom have shown him having this power of shapeshifting. This power allows the symbiote costume to mimic all sorts of clothing, making its wearer endlessly stylish. Endless webbing and stylish clothing? Venom doesn't seem too bad, right? Well, except for Venom's undying resentment and turning people totally evil. Oh yeah, not only can the symbiote mimic clothing, it can also mimic certain statures and postures.
But not only does the suit bond, in time it replaces them,
allowing its wearer to blend in seamlessly with whoever is nearby. This is another excellent power that Spider-Man lacks. It allows the symbiote's host to look fashionable if it wants, to blend in with the rest of society, or even transform into a completely different person. Imagine all the hours you'd save choosing an outfit or buying clothes. Spider-Man needs to discreetly take off his suit in order to blend in with society, whereas Venom can just transform. This is actually a power that Spider-Man enjoyed while he wore the symbiote suit himself. We wonder if he second guesses giving up the symbiote sometimes.
Can't, not yet. There's some things I have to take care of first.
get rid of it!
I need it.
This ability is invaluable, especially coupled with Spider-Man's inability to detect Venom. This means that Venom can blend in just about anywhere, and Spider-Man wouldn't suspect a thing.
Come on, Venom. That's the best you've got?
Invisibility, camouflage. To go along with the ability to mimic clothing and statures, the Venom symbiote is able to mimic its surrounding environment, thus making it invisible to the naked eye. But wait, does this mean Venom can be invisible too? That's exactly right. This is especially useful once you consider that Venom is impervious to Spider-Man's spider sense, so any of Venom's users could surprise the wall crawler with a sneak attack at any moment from any place. Totally not good news for Peter Parker. Spider-Man is pretty much limited to his street clothing or his gaudy red and blue Spider-Man suit. Don't get us wrong, we do love the iconic suit, but it presents problems. If Spider-Man wanted to go camouflage himself, he'd actually have to go out and purchase some camouflaging materials or blend in with something like a Spider-Man mural, something that's highly unlikely to be around in more than one specific place. Or Pete would have to develop cool cloaking skills like Miles Morales, who is the new Spider-Man. This power gives Venom a huge amount of reign over Spider-Man. You simply can't underestimate the power of surprise when it comes to attacking an opponent, especially when you have so much awesomeness going for you.
If Venom's off the disabled list, then... So am I!
Venom can help its host regrow limbs. This following ability is one of the most ridiculous and impressive powers that the Venom symbiote has. Believe it or not, Venom actually has the power to regenerate the lost limbs of its host. The symbiote utilized this ability when it bonded to Flash Thompson, a war veteran who lost his legs in combat. This is something previous incarnations of Venom never have shown, as they all were able-bodied men. But why would something as evil as Venom help anyone out? The answer is actually pretty simple and actually pretty selfish. Once bonded with Thompson, the symbiote's instincts to protect its host kicked in, and gave Thompson legs once again so he could fight against evildoers as the heroic Agent Venom. So Venom only helps out its host in order to help itself out. Sure, Thompson needs to take a ton of drugs to suppress the symbiote's urge to permanently bond with him, but it helps him walk once again. Spider-Man has never shown such an ability. While Venom and Spider-Man have accelerated healing abilities, Spider-Man has never once lost a limb and subsequently regrown it. This is a power that is unique to the symbiote and can come in handy for people who are yearning to have their lost limbs back again. Venom can morph its body into weapons. Ah, symbiotes. Marvelous creatures, aren't they? Learning about all the cool things Venom can do makes us wonder, what can't Venom do? One of the prevailing powers Venom has almost always had is its ability to transform its body into various weapons. This ability was popularized by Venom's offspring, Carnage, but the original symbiote certainly has this power as well.
Sorry, did you say Carnage? Is that like a family name, or...?
The alien life form can transform its limbs into giant axes, knives, and various other weapons. This ability would certainly come in handy when battling different opponents across the universe. Having the power to turn your arm into an enormous axe is a skill that many people wish they could have. Luckily for the people bonded with the Venom symbiote, they can do just that. Unfortunately for our hero, Spider-Man is not shown to have this same capability.
Yikes! Whoa! Didn't know you could do that!
In fact, he sometimes runs out of his primary weapon, which is webbing. Get it together, Spidey. This ability gives Venom the edge in this category. We're really starting to think that Venom might just be a superior life form when compared to Spider-Man. How the heck does he even beat this unstoppable thing anyway? Oh yeah, fire and sound, right.
Because of course, we were you.
Genetic memory. As previously mentioned, one of the coolest things about the Venom symbiote is that it can remember the genetic information of all its previous hosts, thus also passing on that person's ability to the next host. For example, after the symbiote bonded with Spider-Man, every host afterward could crawl on walls and shoot webbing, which is why Venom has Spidey's abilities. After bonding with Eddie Brock, every host afterwards has access to his supreme strength, and maybe a little bit of Brock's bitterness too. This is why the people or things that wear the symbiote are immune to Peter Parker's spider sense. The Venom symbiote remembers how the spider sense works and negates its effects. Interestingly enough, the Venom symbiote isn't immune to Ben Reilly's spider sense, since his is different from Peter Parker's. It seems like the symbiote is taking its obsession with Peter Parker to the most extreme, but hey, rejection can be tough, right? However, if bonded with enough superheroes and villains, the Venom symbiote could become an unstoppable machine that harnesses the power of everyone it has ever come in contact with.
We're now part of a life force that has existed since the dawn of time. Imagine what you've turned down, Parker.
Luckily, the Venom symbiote's memory of these powers was partially erased, making it somewhat less powerful. If that hadn't happened, though, who knows how insane Venom could have gotten.
Well, look who's out of the anemone.
Breathing underwater. One of the more ludicrous powers the Venom symbiote has exhibited is the ability to allow its user to breathe underwater. Sort of like a really evil sea creature or mermaid. Until then, we learn about all the cool attributes we hope to see in the Venom film, like his power to breathe underwater, which is shown when Spider-Man thought he could flee Venom by jumping into a river. Surprisingly, Venom jumped in right after him and explained that the symbiote could protect its host from drowning. Seriously, what can't Venom do? Since the symbiote wants to keep its host alive at all costs, it somehow found a way to keep Eddie Brock from drowning while underwater. While the comic doesn't specifically explain how it's able to do this, you just need to accept it as fact, okay? That's some great comic book logic for you right there. Spider-Man even questioned the ability and got no explanation for it. We know the struggle, Pete. This became a huge advantage for Venom when he was fighting Spider-Man underwater, since Peter Parker was unable to breathe underwater. Yeah, apparently breathing underwater isn't one of the abilities the radioactive spider granted him. Go figure.
We have massive infection, multiple GPI and FSI viruses.
Who's coming in from remote nodes? They're going for the Colonel.
Venom can enter itself into the internet. Okay, this is possibly one of the most 90s storylines in comic books in recent memory. But on the plus side, the 90s are back in fashion. After the advent and subsequent rise of the internet, many comic books integrated the World Wide Web into their storylines, and this is perhaps one of the most bizarre examples of that. In the story of Carnage Unleashed, Carnage began entering itself into the internet to kill various peoples across the world. After hearing about this dangerous new activity, Venom decided that it must step in and put an end to its offspring's killing spree. So Venom then uploaded itself into the internet, and the two symbiotes did battle on the information superhighway. Sure, this story is incredibly bonkers and dated, but it's still an ability that Spider-Man doesn't have. He cannot upload himself onto the internet and fight his enemies digitally like Venom and Carnage can. As a human with flesh and blood, it's just not possible. Though many people question the plausibility of Venom and Carnage entering themselves into the internet to do battle, it is still something that happened, and it's still something Spider-Man can't do. Case closed.
Don't go! This party's just getting rolling!
Well, that's just a few of the many crazy things Venom can do that Spider-Man can't. Know of any we missed or have a favorite one? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to CBR to be part of our notification squad. Thanks for watching.
It's hard to think of Venom without thinking of Carnage, and vice versa. The two are linked, quite literally, thanks to the alien symbiote that gave both of them their villainous powers. You might think their similarities end there, but you'd be wrong.
You may be our spawn, but that won't keep us from destroying you.
Venom and Carnage have more in common than Spider-Man and symbiotes, and we're here to break it down for you. Before we get to hunting for Easter eggs, take a moment to subscribe to our channel. Once you do, you'll never have to again.
Together again.
Both are Spider-Man villains. Every superhero must have a foe, and if you're a popular character, you have to have a few bad guys in rotation. How can you be a superhero if you have nothing to fight for or against? A foil is what makes them rise to the occasion, overcome their fears, and swing into the history books as great. A nemesis forces a superhero to have a focus and constantly be on the guard. An attack could strike at any time and any place. One must be ready, right?
Didn't know you could do that.
If you're Spider-Man, your spider sense must be going off all the time, but not for these two major foils in Peter's world. You know, because he can't sense them. Venom and Carnage are both major villains in the Spider-Man universe. They're both major foes in the comic books and will be in the cinematic universe as well, once the new franchise gets slinging. Both arch-enemies have battled Spider-Man for a very long time. Sometimes Peter Parker has a tough time going up against just one of them. Other times in the comic books, Spider-Man must go up against both at the same time. Venom and Carnage, though both vying to take down the web-slinger, are not actively working together to defeat Spider-Man. We don't think these two play well with others. Do you? Encounters with Deadpool. Does it sometimes feel like everything in the Marvel Universe is connected through Wade Wilson? Instead of playing 6 Degrees of Separation with Kevin Bacon, play the Marvel version with Deadpool. It's almost like it can't be considered official until you've had some encounter with Wilson. Oh, hello. Venom and Carnage are both linked to the Merc with a Mouth, but in different ways in the comic books. Venom and Deadpool have a long history with one another. It turns out that Wade Wilson has bonded with the Venom symbiote on more than one occasion. In the first run of Secret Wars, over 20 years ago, Deadpool and Venom merged. The latest incarnation of the two characters imagined their merging in a series called Back in Black. In addition, there was a What If series that imagined a reality where Wilson permanently bonded with the Venom symbiote. Can you imagine how everything could have been different if Marvel had decided to keep it that way? Deadpool has also come in contact with Carnage for a period of time in a complicated storyline that involves a lot of trickery. Let's just say Deadpool and Carnage didn't walk away on good terms. Carnage vowed revenge against Deadpool, so we'll have to wait to see how he gets it.
Between the two of us, Dad, there won't be enough left of Spider-Man.
Created by symbiotes. While Spider-Man got his powers through the bite of a radioactive spider, his two most famous super foes got their powers in very different ways. Technically, Spider-Man helped form both Carnage and Venom when he first discovered the symbiotic suit on the alien planet. If not for his original suit being destroyed, triggering Parker's search for a new one, then neither Venom nor Carnage would have come into existence. Peter discovered the black and white Venom suit. When he put it on, he found that it gave him new special abilities. Parker developed regenerative powers and suddenly had unlimited webbing fluid. However, this was no suit. Well, not like the original red and blue suit anyway. The suit was an alien life form. When Spider-Man rid himself of the symbiote, it found journalist Eddie Brock. It attached itself to Brock and helped bring out some of his worst qualities, which the symbiote loves to do. Brock became incarcerated where he met Cletus. The symbiote Venom life form left behind a piece of itself in the jail cell when Brock left. That little piece then infected the bloodstream of Cletus Cassidy to become Carnage. Carnage's symbiote was different than Venom, turning him red instead of black. In addition, Cassidy's blood is infected with the organism, unlike Brock, who wears the suit.
Brock's rage and vengefulness made us a perfect breeding ground.
Both have human counterparts. Venom and Carnage are symbiotic supervillains who will stop at nothing to take down Spider-Man and rain chaos. Did you know that both characters have human counterparts with unique backstories? Venom's most famous host is Eddie Brock. Carnage comes from Cletus Cassidy, one of the worst human beings in all the Spider-Man universe. Without a doubt, Carnage is a monster who has earned the name Carnage. Even before he was a supervillain chasing after Spider-Man, Cassidy was a psychopath. Cletus Cassidy is known for going on murderous rampages throughout the city. Even as a regular human, he's a handful for the authorities and should be avoided at all costs. He did awful things to his family members and eventually became orphaned. Venom's counterpart, Eddie Brock, is less of a danger to society than Carnage, but he's still one pretty bad dude. A journalist, Brock developed cancer. An issue with one of his articles led to him being fired from the Daily Globe.
There's not a paper in town that will hire me. You should have thought of that earlier.
His wife Anne left him. He started working out relentlessly to try and ease his mind, but it didn't work. He became obsessed and blamed all of his troubles on Spider-Man. Once he became Venom, he took his obsession and rage to a new level.
And now, here's a brand new sound for you and your partner in slime.
They became superheroes. We're always talking about what a crazy killer Carnage is and what destruction Venom brings down on New York City. Those things are absolutely true and should not be forgotten. These are very bad characters, and we're thankful Peter Parker is there to stop them. However, not everything that is bad stays bad, or at least in the Marvel comic book universe. Sometimes a villain gets a small reprieve from being bad and gets to be good, even if they're only good for a short while. In the case of Venom and Carnage, both have had the opportunity to be good guys. Bet you didn't see that one coming. For Carnage, his turn to good was a result of a spell cast by Dr. Doom and the Scarlet Witch. The spell changed the moralities of characters and made Carnage want to do good. He returned to New York City and immediately started saving people as a part of his change. Could you imagine that big red guy coming at you only to find out he wants to help? Venom became a superhero in the Venom Space Knight series. He bonded with Flash Thompson. That amalgamation changed his personality and he started doing good deeds. He even went on adventures with the Guardians of the Galaxy to help save people.
The suit. You gotta take it off.
Oh, you'd like that, wouldn't you?
Both are getting a movie. Supervillains have all sorts of origin stories. Sometimes the character's been wronged and needs to seek retribution. Or the villain is jealous of the superhero and wants to take them down. No matter the cost, the villain will plan and plot to crush them. In the case of Venom and Carnage, neither of them are on the side of good. They are, however, inextricably linked to one another. If not for Venom, there would be no Carnage. It's hard to think of one without thinking of the other. When it comes to Venom and Carnage, their stories are so compelling and plotlines so interesting that they're going to be getting time on the big screen. Both are very popular with fans, and we're excited with the announcement. Tom Hardy has signed on to play Eddie Brock, the human host of Venom.
My name is Max.
The character of Cletus Cassidy, who the Carnage symbiote attaches to, has yet to be cast. We can only imagine who they'll get to play Carnage. Who do you think it'll be? We also hope that Spider-Man will make an appearance too. The film is set to be released in 2018. We can't wait to see what happens between now and then.
Peter Parker. No, wait. How about that guy from Aerosmith?
Multiple hosts. When talking about Venom and Carnage, it can be easy to forget that there are humans attached to the alien life form. An alien life form triggered the creation of Venom. It has its own personality, abilities, and desires that are separate from the hosts it infects. It can be easy to forget that Venom and Carnage can merge with other hosts. While we've talked a lot about Eddie Brock in this video because he was the first host of Venom after Spider-Man, he wasn't the only host. Venom has merged with several individuals over the course of its lifetime, bringing out the innate qualities and abilities of each one. This makes each iteration of Venom unique. Two of the most well-known hosts besides Eddie in the comic books are McDonald Mac Gargan and Eugene Flash Thompson.
I know. Peter Parker and Flash all friendly?
Let's not forget, technically Peter Parker was a host too. For Carnage, hosts work a little different. Carnage infects the bloodstream, so it can stay with you forever. In the Marvel Universe, both the Silver Surfer and Ben Reilly have been Carnage. Perhaps the most famous host was Dr. Octopus. That'd be one scary sight, to have 8 legs and the powers of Carnage. He would totally wait for Spider-Man to deal with this one.
Sure, we'll see each other soon enough. Spider-Man.
Similar superpowers. As Uncle Ben Parker would say,
With great power comes great responsibility.
with great power also comes amazing abilities.
I'll figure it out.
Thanks to the alien life form that enhanced both of their lives, the Venom suit and Carnage have given their hosts superpowers. One of the most powerful abilities both of these characters have, which makes them difficult to fight for Spider-Man, is they're immune to the Spidey sense. Because the Venom symbiote joined with Peter Parker before being with Brock and spawning off to Carnage, Parker's alert doesn't trigger. That is a very valuable power that both use to their advantage whenever they can. Both have regenerative qualities. When Eddie Brock was Venom, he had been suffering from cancer before he bonded with the suit. The symbiote rolled back the effects of the terminal disease and healed Brock. The catch was, of course, once Brock was no longer Venom, the cancer would come back. Carnage has accelerated healing, which is more powerful than Venom's abilities. Carnage can regenerate broken bones and tissues, as well as heal basic injuries. In addition, both share a variety of abilities that make them formidable opponents. They both possess increased stamina and strength. They also have access to web abilities like Spider-Man.
Together now!
Similar weaknesses. Spider-Man regularly fights powerful opponents like the Green Goblin, Dr. Octopus, or the Hobgoblin. However, Venom and Carnage are different than his regular foes. These two came from an alien symbiote, not some technologically developed armor or special serum. In the hierarchy of power, Carnage is a more powerful entity than Venom. This also means that Venom and Carnage have similar weaknesses. Even though they're different and affect their hosts in different ways, they still come from the same originating source. The major vulnerability these two share is to sound. When Spider-Man was originally wearing the Venom suit and discovered it was an alien symbiote, he wanted to get it off. He had difficulty finding a way to extricate himself from Venom.
But not only does the suit bond, in time it replaces.
He eventually used the loud sound of church bells ringing to rid himself of the suit. Intense sounds and sonic waves are Spider-Man's best friend. It is the cast that with each new spawn, their resistance to sound increases. However, no symbiote has been found to be immune, and this weapon continues to be used against them. Another major weakness Venom and Carnage have is heat. One good blast with elevated temperatures can cause some serious damage. Does that mean Peter should only fight these guys near the equator? Fought other superheroes. Venom and Carnage have been in the Marvel comic book universe for a long time. While they will be making the cinematic universe debut next year, we're also wondering if they'll also be incorporated into more than just the Spider-Man universe. What do you think? In the comic books, Carnage and Venom are not strictly resigned to being Peter Parker's opponents. We would be remiss to mention that they're often depicted as battling one another. However, they have gone up against other superheroes in the universe as well. This makes for interesting dynamics and combinations. We're hoping the writers in the MCU think about this when bringing them to the big screen as well. Maybe an Infinity Wars cameo? As we said earlier in the video, Carnage has gone up against Dr. Doom and the Scarlet Witch. One of the biggest powers Carnage ever came across was Sentry, who actually ended up ripping Carnage in half. Venom has even come in contact with Ghost Rider. Fun fact, Venom is immune to the Rider's penance stare.
Look into my eyes.
Could you imagine what that staring contest would look like? It could go on forever. There's also an alternative storyline about Venom and the Punisher.
So, Spider-Man is ours, and ours alone.
Who knew Carnage and Venom had so much in common? Maybe they should consider a joint birthday party next time. What's your favorite thing they share? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to hit like to show your love, and subscribe if you haven't already to catch even more entertaining videos from CBR's playlist. Thanks for watching.
As Marvel fans are getting excited for Spider-Man's big homecoming, they can also set their sights to the future with the release of another Spidey-inspired movie. We're of course talking about the highly anticipated Venom movie. It's been made over at Sony, so it won't be bound by the MCU, nor will it be subject to light-hearted and adventure-filled style that those films do so well. So we're going to dive in and talk about just what we'd like to see in the upcoming film from our not-so-friendly neighborhood Venom. But before you get too comfortable, why not hit that subscribe button and give us a like. You'll get more awesome videos like this every day delivered straight to your homepage.
Sounds fair.
Horror. The Marvel Cinematic Universe films all have been pretty light and accessible films. Fun for the whole family.
Dance off, bro. Me and you.
The most complex among them would of course be Captain America the Winter Soldier, which decided to fuse political espionage into its narrative, ultimately creating a unique and powerful film. Venom won't be part of the MCU. He'll be staying over at Sony, but perhaps they should take a lesson from Cap and Marvel and start to infuse different genres into their comic book tales. When it comes to Venom, only one subgenre would make sense: horror. Now we're not talking like Friday the 13th horror here, as cool as that would be, but rather take the tone, lighting, and visual cues that are staples of the genre and infuse them into the Venom film. Embrace the darkness and make the whole thing feel really sinister. There are plenty of PG-13 horror movies out there. Some of them are actually pretty good and scary, so there's no reason to think why a Venom film couldn't make use of some horror film techniques to enhance the overall film. After all, Venom has to stand out from the rest of the comic book movies out there, and making things a bit scarier might just be the best thing they can do. At the end of the day, Venom isn't exactly cute and cuddly.
Oh my god.
Beyond the PG PG-13 rating. This one's a bit of a stretch, but bear with me. Marvel Studios head Kevin Feige recently stated that the MCU will never produce an R-rated movie. This makes complete sense considering the tone and style already established in the earlier phases. But Venom doesn't live in Marvel Studios, so why not experiment a bit? Fans have been floored at the success of Fox's Deadpool and Logan films, both which decided to go beyond the PG-13 rating and become some of the most lucrative comic book films to date. When considering profit versus budget, the films were also praised for being so different than their competitors, offering up a more mature story and humor, violence, and visual style that didn't feel desaturated with CGI. With this in mind, would it not be worth considering having the Venom film R-rated?
You got me in a box here.
Let's be honest here. Venom is not sunshine and rainbows, and to do the character justice, some lines may need to be crossed in order to make the fans happy. In order to do this, PG-13 might not be enough. If this is the case, though, the filmmakers can truly dive into the horror genre and make the film a psychological comic book thriller, something that has never been done before and would certainly stand out from the rest. Since the Venom symbiote is an alien, the film could possibly draw inspiration from the Alien franchise, including the 2017 version Alien Covenant. The film could also draw inspiration from crime thrillers and detective stories.
What better way is there to live?
Be a relatively standalone movie. Comic book fans love their cinematic universe. In fact, studio executives seem to love it more. It seems everything is starting to follow Marvel Studios' approach and linking all their films into one cohesive universe.
We have to stand together.
The problem with this, as we've all come to learn, is that films sometimes spend too much time setting up the future and not the story at hand. Case in point, the subplots in Avengers Age of Ultron and Amazing Spider-Man 2. Guardians of the Galaxy does a good job at standing on its own, with minimal references to the MCU, and Volume 2 further removing itself from that equation. Deadpool and Logan also did this. They were films onto themselves, and Venom would profit greatly by being his own man. Sure, the movie would reference Spider-Man, it has to. You can't have one without the other. But the film should stay away from setting up a whole bunch of other stories that take away from the present tale. If the filmmakers want to set things up for the future, having it done organically, instead of blatant B-plot scenes that solely exist to focus on setting up said future, is the way to go. Another option would be to have any future issues be involved with the main story. So if Flash Thompson is to become the next Venom after Eddie Brock, for example, have Flash in the movie and develop his character instead of shoehorning him in.
He got a freaking army!
Other symbiotes. On the topic of other Venoms, the film may want to consider using other symbiotes in the film. We know that Eddie Brock's Venom isn't the only Venom, nor is he the only person to be host of a symbiote agent. Aside from a certain well-known criminal, there are a few other creatures in the Marvel Universe that can be integrated into the plot. These include Scream, Lasher, Phage, Riot, and Agony. Oh, and don't forget Toxin. It'd be very interesting to get the family together and explore not only the origin of the species at large, but how they affect their hosts in different ways, and how the host affects the symbiote. It would tie nicely into the proposed psychological aspects of the film. The other symbiotes couldn't handle a movie on their own. They'd either be uninteresting or too unknown for people to care. But join them with the extremely popular Venom character, and we have the foundations for some interesting character dynamics. The question, though, is the extended family would be seen as villains or anti-heroes. Joining with Venom remains to be seen, but it's definitely something that Sony should consider using at some point or another. This could also prove the Venom movie with enough wacky personality to save the film from being too dark or dour, which may be something to bear in mind.
It's just a new suit.
Original design. Venom is one of the most iconic characters in comic book history. Even non-fans will surely be able to recognize his black and white design thanks to his immense popularity in the comic books. The large form coupled with the white spider symbol over the black suit and the menacing face have all become staples of Venom's design. They tried to bring this image to life in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 3, but it didn't work, like at all. For some reason, the studio thought peeling back the Venom face to reveal Topher Grace's Eddie Brock was a good idea. We still haven't forgiven this decision. When it comes to this version of Venom, the filmmakers have to give us the Venom from the comics. Eddie Brock was already ripped before he was Venom, but with the help of the alien symbiote suit, he was jacked. His face is also a thing of nightmares, with all those teeth and that tongue that have become plastered on countless comic book covers, t-shirts, and baseball hats. Instead of creating their own version of the character, the filmmakers should just accept the original design as the best design when it comes to Venom and just stick with it. End of story. We'll get to see the actor's face behind the mask at various points in the movie for sure, but just not when Venom is doing his thing.
Nobody's getting hurt.
Venom the anti-hero. There are many versions of Venom out there in the comics. Some of them see him as a villain, some of them as more of an anti-hero. For the sake of cinematic appeal, the filmmaker should absolutely make this Venom an anti-hero. It would separate him from the dozens of other heroes out there while still giving him his own style and edge. That might make it a bit harder to root for, despite him doing the right thing. Venom is a really complex and layered character that would be a great material to see on screen.
Do you believe that he's here to help?
He's got an unhealthy obsession with fighting Spider-Man, but he's also smart and brave enough to save innocents when duty calls for such actions. Venom sometimes has to team up with our favorite web-slinger, but that alliance is usually temporary. Eddie Brock, the man underneath the symbiote, blames Spider-Man for many of his problems and the poor decisions he's made in his life, including being drawn to the symbiote in the first place, so he does slip back into revenge mode against Parker from time to time. But compared to the Spider-Man's other villains and other symbiotes, Venom is pretty much a saint. At least he isn't trying to eat people like Mac Gargan, another person to later play host to the suit. So while the movie should make us root for Venom, it should also make us question why we are rooting for him, and perhaps make us feel bad for doing it.
It's a good story.
Agent Venom. There is a good chance that Spider-Man may not be able to make his way into the Venom movies, likely to the deal that's in place between Sony and Marvel. If this is the case, the film might want to make the smart decision and opt for a different Venom instead of using the classic Eddie Brock. A perfect substitute in turn would be Flash Thompson's version of Venom. Unlike Brock, Thompson's storyline takes a pretty big step away from the Spider-Man angle, which would give filmmakers enough breathing room to not be dependent on the web-slinger's lore. Flash has appeared in both Spider-Man movie universes to date, so seeing him for the third time may be annoying to some, but at least this time he won't simply be Parker's high school bully. In the comics, Flash keeps seeing Spider-Man's heroism and decides to up and join the army in a fierce display of patriotism. He ends up fighting in the Iraq War and eventually ends up saving his platoon from an ambush, which resulting him, Thompson, losing his legs due to his injuries. His heroism gets noticed, and Flash is brought into the Agent Venom program, which sees him paired up with the alien symbiote. The suit ends up healing Flash and giving him crazy powers while in the employment of the government. If this ends up being the film Sony decides on making, having a gritty war and spy film in the vein of Winter Soldier and Star Wars Rogue One would certainly be awesome, and unlike any other superhero movie we've seen to date.
I'm a teenage girl.
A more grown-up story. As we mentioned before, the MCU films are pretty family-friendly overall.
They're so cute.
Sure, they have violence in it, but it's always cut and filmed in such a way it's essentially a live-action cartoon. The story also reflects this, with the magical worlds of Strange, the Guardians, and Thor, coupled with the humoristic nature of Iron Man. Cap is the only one that's gotten serious so far with the Winter Soldier and Civil War, but it's not gone to the same lengths of maturity as, say, Logan. Considering Venom's backstory and characteristics, it should be essential to separate his storytelling techniques from that of Spider-Man's in 2017's Homecoming. Otherwise, the films may end up being color-swap duplicates of each other. Venom has to stand on his own 2 feet, and how the filmmakers decide to tell that story will help differentiate him from the rest of the pack. Instead of a fun, light-hearted action-adventure, Venom should be more serious and perhaps even slower and methodical. We've seen 3 different Spider-Mans on the big screen now, and are very familiar with the character. Now, let's give the same audience some context when it comes to the new web-slinger on the block.
I'm a new guy.
Eddie Brock. The definite and classic Venom character is often linked to the first person ever to play host to the alien suit. We are, of course, referring to Eddie Brock, Peter Parker's rival at a competing newspaper company. After a string of bad decisions, Brock is ultimately fired and tumbles down the rabbit hole, losing everything in the process, including his marriage. Marred by depression and rage, Brock begins to formulate a plan to get his revenge against those responsible for his current state of being, including Spider-Man. If by some miracle, Spider-Man and Eddie Brock get to cross paths again on film, then the filmmaker should waste no time and get to work on writing the definitive Eddie Brock for the big screen. The version we saw of Eddie in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 3 was a poor depiction of the character, more of a whiny jerk than a tragic hero who is hard to care for. So hopefully this time Brock can be made to be more akin to his comic book origins.
This is not going to end well. This is not going to end well for you, no.
Carnage. It had to be, right? Of course, when one thinks of Venom, there's another creepy character that often gets associated with him. We are referring to Carnage. He's never been depicted on the big screen, so having him make his silver screen debut is long overdue. Carnage is one terrifying character. He's an incarcerated serial killer by the name of Cletus Cassidy, who ends up playing host to the symbiote, and oh boy, do things get dark when Carnage is around. Unlike most of Spider-Man's villains, heck, most of the Marvel villains, Carnage enjoys killing for sport. He's incredibly dangerous, ruthless, and powerful, and makes Venom look tame by comparison.
There's a little pee coming out of me right now.
If the film decides PG-13 isn't in the cards, it'll be due to Carnage's mayhem. In the comics, Venom often comes face to face with Carnage, and sometimes realizes that he can't take on the deranged killer on his own, which results in a stellar team-up between Venom and Spider-Man. Since Spider-Man is kind of floating between two parents right now, this would be a great way for the two studios to put their minds together and team up to give fans the Venom and Spider-Man movie they've always dreamed of.
Hey, I'm not.
Well, there you have it, folks. We're super amped for the Venom movie and hope you are too. What do you hope to see once the black and white web crawler makes his debut to the big screen? Do you hope the film is more like Logan and Deadpool, or more like Spider-Man Homecoming? Should Venom be Flash or Eddie? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button to stay up to date with CBR for more geektacular videos like this one on the daily. While the internet is already awash with who could play doomed journalist Eddie Brock, the Venomverse also opens up an even darker side of Spider-Man. Fans of Marvel will know that Venom isn't the only symbiote specimen in the comic books. There's also the Carnage symbiote, Venom's even more brutal offspring. It won't be easy to portray Carnage and live up to the expectations of the fans. Don't forget, we have an entire channel full of awesome videos to see. Hit subscribe now to stay up to date on all the content CBR has to offer.
Who is Batman?
Batman.
Jim Carrey. To get the list off to a controversial start, the name Jim Carrey has been circling Cassidy for as long as there has been fan casting. The rumor picked up steam when a Twitter user posted an image close to the location for the Ravencroft Institute when filming Amazing Spider-Man 2. Since then, it's been hard to shake the image of Carrey as Carnage out of anyone's head. Carrey's casting as Carnage could be a master stroke. Bubbling underneath his comedic performances, there has always been an edge of madness. Look at him in I Love You, Philip Morris. This was a part where he played a calculating lunatic. He also played a psychotic serial killer in Number 23. Sure, he was once a lackluster Riddler, but the ghosts of Soup's past shouldn't haunt Jim. Plus, he did a bang-up job as Colonel Stars and Stripes in the Kick-Ass movies. Keaton is approaching a return to superheroes after Batman for Spider-Man Homecoming. So why should one little foray into the world of capes and catastrophe put you off? Beneath his goofy and ridiculous demeanor of his other roles in films, he's actually a very talented actor. If you let Carrey sink in long enough, you know it makes sense.
Ain't no way to call him that.
Enlighten us.
Because he likes to eat the flesh of his enemies.
Michael Mando. Keeping it in the Breaking Bad family, could Nacho suit up as the symbiote? It has already been rumored that Mando's unspecified role in Spider-Man Homecoming could lead him to playing Carnage. An idea that doesn't sound half bad. The Better Call Saul Twitter account tweeted the message. Michael Mando is spectacular at bringing Carnage to life in Better Call Saul, causing fandom to go into meltdown. Known for his parts in the likes of sci-fi thriller Orphan Black and Canada's Le Bleu de Ramville, Mando is an expert at playing a bad guy. His characterization was on point as drug dealer Vic on Orphan Black. However, he's currently ruling the roost on Breaking Bad spin-off. As Ignacio Nacho Varga, Mando manages to shine in Gilligan's world of colorful villains. Elsewhere, his villainous voice made him the twisted antagonist Vaz Montenegro in 2012's Far Cry 3, a part he reprised for the web series The Far Cry Experience. It is the role of the mohawked maniac, Montenegro, that shows just how versatile Mando is. Playing Carnage would be a walk in the park for him. And hey, since we already know his voice acting is on point, if he's cast in the role of Carnage, he could even lend his voice to the new Spider-Man game coming out on PS4.
Knock on the door. They say, welcome home. You don't know what'll happen.
I'm a wanted man.
Michael K. Williams. For all 5 seasons of HBO's prohibition thriller Boardwalk Empire, Michael K. Williams was nothing less than chilling as Albert Chalky White. The leader of the black contingent of Atlantic City, Chalky was a sinister leader who was more than meets the eye. Williams brought a slightly lovable side to the unlovable man, a perfect quality for portraying the damaged Cassidy. However, Michael's best-known role is as Baltimore's Robin Hood, Omar Little, on The Wire, a part he got after only one audition. The part of Omar went on to become a fan favorite of the show and was frequently cited as one of the best elements of the TV show. In particular, the dry wit of Williams' portrayal is something that could easily transfer over to Carnage. Whether it's seen as a positive or negative, Williams is a serious method actor and actually becomes lost in the part of Little while filming The Wire. He referred to himself as Omar and started taking drugs. He might be on the older side of casting, but every part that the 50-year-old plays usually involves intimidation and scene stealing. You could easily imagine Williams as a scarred and deranged Cassidy, lurking in the darkness of a cell, waiting for Brock.
If I had just what? Left you in England in your castle?
They have my wife.
Alexander Skarsgård. His brother Bill is currently scaring all those with coulrophobia over in the remake of Stephen King's It, so hopefully creepy serial killer performances run in the family. Elsewhere, Alexander's father Stellan Skarsgård is no stranger to Marvel movie properties. You may have seen him in Thor and the Avengers as Dr. Eric Selvig. For 7 years of True Blood, Alexander won us over as the Viking vampire sheriff Eric Northman and appeared in 74 of the 80 episodes. Skarsgård won a slew of awards for the role, but his career could have been very different, mainly due to the fact that in 1989 he quit acting for 7 years. You may remember that Alexander had a very brief role as Meekus in Ben Stiller's Zoolander and returned for a different role in the sequel, as well as playing the lead in the strange Hasbro adaptation Battleship. He led us on a rumble in the jungle as Tarzan in the lackluster 2016 film The Legend of Tarzan. So how about a swap over to the side of villainy? We at least know he's willing to work hard for his talent, reportedly eating 7,000 calories a day to build up 25 pounds for the role as Tarzan. If you want a Cassidy that can act but also has the looks, then search no further than the good Swedish genes of Skarsgård.
Yeah, I have a thought. Yeah. How about you give me and Man Mountain $750 each and send Uncle Fester there home? He's not carrying a gun. He's useless.
Stephen Ogg. Canadian Stephen Ogg is the man with the vocal talent who took on Trevor Phillips, the villainous lead protagonist of Grand Theft Auto V. The 43-year-old actor may be known more for his voice than his face, but all that has to change. With his yard brush mustache and imposing glare, he is the mad eyes of the perfect Cassidy. Through voice and motion capture, his part as Trevor went on to become one of the great video game villains, nearly up there with the likes of Bowser and Ganondorf. Ogg was nominated for several awards for his portrayal and won the New York Video Games Critics Circle Award for Best Overall Acting in a Game. Despite being on the scene since 2000, Ogg has recently stepped more into the limelight of live action, including bit parts on Better Call Saul and a larger part in robotic romp Westworld. However, he's currently terrifying over in the zombie apocalypse on The Walking Dead. After premiering in the Season 6 finale, his role as the sinister Simon in Season 7 makes for an uncomfortable but uncompromising part. Ogg may not have been wielding his Grand Theft Auto baseball bat this time around, but he arguably plays a better villain than Jeffrey Dean Morgan's Big Bad Negan.
Do you think Sid would go out with me?
No, I don't at all.
Matthew Lillard. Scooby-Who? Matthew Lillard may be known as the goofball who played Shaggy in the live-action Scooby-Doo films, but others remember him for a very different part. As one half of the Two Killers twist in Wes Craven's Scream, Matthew Lillard flashed his psycho credentials as Joker Stu Macher. While a brilliant casting choice, it was actually a part he accidentally got by attending the audition alongside his then-girlfriend. Lillard's skill is that no one would expect him to play a bad guy. No one suspected Stu would be one of the film's killers in Scream after all. Sadly, we never got the original plan for Scream 3. This would have featured Stu having survived his first film death for a shocking return in the third part. Similar to Carrie, Lillard's improv skills make him a superb candidate to bring across the madness of Cassidy. His infamous line when Skeet Ulrich hit him on the head with a phone in Scream was a spur-of-the-moment idea.
My mom and dad are gonna be so sad.
These days, Lillard still lends his voice to Shaggy Rogers in animated form. However, his real-life roles remain relatively limited. There have been sporadic episodes of Criminal Minds and The Good Wife, as well as another wacky part in the maligned 13 Ghosts. Excitedly, he has an unknown part in the highly anticipated Twin Peaks revival. But for the carnage of carnage, just imagine an older version of Stu from Scream.
For a minute or two, it just got a few degrees too hot in the mixing kettle. I think I might have just cooked the color right out of it.
Jesse Plemons. We said it before and we will say it again. Jesse Plemons needs to be Carnage. He started acting at just 3.5 and starred in a Coca-Cola commercial. His big break was providing the comic relief in the first season of Friday Night Lights as Landry Clark. Some may know him for his TV work, but others remember Plemons as Kevin Weeks alongside Johnny Depp in the biographical crime film Black Mass. It was reported that Plemons was one of 4 actors considered for Star Wars The Force Awakens, a part that eventually went to John Boyega. While he dodged the world of George Lucas, his television career is slowly growing. He has appeared in the 2nd season of FX's anthology show Fargo and kept the weight he gained for Black Mass. His resemblance to Matt Damon hasn't gone unnoticed, with fandom nicknaming Plemons Meth Damon thanks to his part in Breaking Bad. It is for Vince Gilligan's show that Plemons gave his most carnage-worthy performance, portraying Todd Alquist in the final season. Promoted to a series regular for season 5B, Alquist was truly unhinged in a show so packed with morally corrupt characters. Plemons' performance stuck out in an unnerving way.
Open your eyes and look at what you did!
Michael C. Hall. The career of Michael C. Hall started off Broadway in Macbeth and soon progressed to our screens. Many will recognize him as the closeted David Fisher from the superb 6 Feet Under, a role he portrayed throughout the run and was nominated for an Emmy. There was always something sinister about the mortician, and Hall took to the role with a morbid glee. As for feature films, he played the Maleficent company owner Ken Castle in 2009's Gamer. Plus, he's already dipped his toe into the superhero waters. Hall gave his voice to both Dr. Kirk Langstrom and Batman in the DCAU's Justice League Gods and Monsters in 2015. However, most know Hall as the blood splatter analyst and serial killer Dexter Morgan. For 8 seasons, Dexter kept us on edge of our seats with Hall's calm demeanor hidden under a smirk. Sure, the ending is one of the most maligned in TV history, but wrapping his victims in plastic for 7 years, Michael was a superb lead, rightfully earning his Golden Globe and SAG Award. Since Dexter wrapped in 2013, there have been persistent rumors of Hall returning for a spin-off show, but give him Carnage instead. Hall has the perfect acting skills to play a cold and calculated psychopath, bringing a more refined edge to Cassidy.
And, Melissa? Yeah? Watch out for bears. Can't see him coming.
Will Poulter. When it comes to controversial castings, can anyone imagine the baby-faced Will Poulter as Carnage? While it may seem like an out there choice, all you need to remember is that Poulter was once attached to play Pennywise in the remake of Stephen King's It. A literal jack of all trades, Poulter has done comedy with We're the Millers, action with the Maze Runner series, and a more serious role in The Revenant. After appearing in Son of Rambo and The Chronicles of Narnia, The Voyage of the Dawn Treader, it was We're the Millers that earned Poulter breakout star status, along with a slew of awards. Although he's yet to add horror to his resume, playing psychotic Cletus Cassidy could be a great place to start. At the age of just 24, Poulter could give even the most established actors a run for their money. As one of Hollywood's rising stars, his upcoming projects include Netflix epic War Machine alongside Brad Pitt, Tilda Swinton, and ironically the previous Venom, Topher Grace. He will also return for a 3rd Maze Runner film and Catherine Bigelow's untitled Detroit project. If you're going for a young version of Carnage, Poulter has to be up for consideration.
Well, quite the light show. Ain't this sweet?
Michael Roker. With a backwater Alabama twang and an imposing stature, Michael Roker would deliver a carnivorous carnage if we've ever seen one. There's something about the villain roles that gravitate towards the 61-year-old, but that doesn't mean he can't sometimes play the good guy. Michael may be the eldest member of the list, but since when has age been a big deal? With his instantly recognizable voice, he's also loaned himself to several video games, most notably the Call of Duty series. Roker started out his long career when portraying serial serial killer Henry Lee Lucas in 1986's Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer. With the part in the all-star Tombstone as the brother-in-arms to Sly in Cliffhanger, Roker made the move to action films. Nowadays, he makes up part of the Guardians of the Galaxy as the blue-skinned Yondu. Alongside Stephen Ogg, Roker has also joined the acclaimed The Walking Dead alumni as powerhouse Merle Dixon, one of the most ambiguous gray areas of the show. The character that had a redemption of sorts, but not before causing trouble for nearly every one of the main cast. Merle was somehow likable underneath his blatant racism and backward way of thinking. It always felt like Roker should have been on the show longer than just 14 episodes, while his brotherly love with Daryl was a highlight of the show's early years.
Don't you worry about Mr. Quill. As soon as we get him back here, I'm gonna kill him myself.
So who else do you guys think would be perfect to play Carnage? Let us know what you think in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to CBR to catch more videos on comic books, movies, TV shows, and more. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, we're doing this. Here's the setup. CBR's top scientists have fused Spider-Man, Venom, Hulk, and the Joker into a lean, mean creation of muscle, steel, and sex appeal. He's got the strength of each one of them combined, and we want to see who can outlift him. We all know that Spidey can lift at least 10 tons, and Hulk can lift 100 tons while calm. Venom can lift more than Spidey, and the Joker's a weak and feeble man, but he at least adds a couple of pounds of lifting strength to their combined 1-rep max weight. So, which heroes are stronger than all those guys combined? Keep in mind that we're going with Hulk's average strength because the amount of weight that he can lift depends greatly on who's riding him and how angry he supposedly is. Remember, this is not a list of who could win in a fight. It's a lifting contest, and we're not taking ourselves too seriously here. So let's have some fun. In no particular order, here are 10 superheroes stronger than Spider-Man, Hulk, the Joker, and Venom combined. Let us know what your favorites are, and remember to push that red button to subscribe for more. Superman. Let's get the obvious one out of the way. Superman can lift a planet. In fact, we're pretty sure that when Superman does push-ups, he simply pushes the planet down. While Hulk might be strong as hell, even with the help of our 3 other characters, he's still not to the strength where he can move planets made of kryptonite. Superman's feats of strength are astonishing. So astonishing, in fact, that they cause endless plot holes. While Superman has done the standard feats of strength, like punching asteroids in half, that's nothing that our superhero combination couldn't do. After all, Hulk has done that himself in the 52nd issue of Marvel Comics Presents. Where Superman really shows his strength is in the little things that we probably don't notice, such as when he stops a full-powered sword swing from a thoroughly annoyed Wonder Woman. While this might not sound impressive at first, keep in mind that Wonder Woman is stronger than the Hulk too, and is swinging a sword, and Superman catches it as though it's no big deal. Although our favorite instance of Superman's strength is when he forced a hole into the fabric of the universe to punch death in the jaw. That's apocalyptic levels of strength. Goku. Crossing over into the land of Japanese comics, there's no denying the sheer brute force that Goku possesses. Unlike other superheroes who are just thrust into their power, Goku actively trains and works to become as strong as he can be. If Goku's regular unrelenting force wasn't enough, becoming Super Saiyan makes him at least 50 times as strong as he was before. While Hulk alone can get stronger depending on how mad he is, we did decide to cap him at base strength purely because we just don't know how strong he could potentially become. And comic writers haven't helped us either, constantly moving the finish line for what Hulk is capable of. Even with Venom and Spider-Man lifting 20 tons with him, we really doubt that our combination is able to perform the kind of feats that a full roided up Goku's capable of. Hell, Goku's feats have made even Superman blush. It's constantly stated that Goku is powerful enough to destroy entire galaxies. The only reason he hasn't is because he's a good guy. While we're not saying that Goku could beat up the Man of Steel in a fight, we're saying that he's certainly performed feats that would make it seem like he's stronger than Superman, such as lifting and training with gravity 100 times heavier than Earth's. Supergirl. Okay, this is the last one from the Superman family. Kara Zor-El is the female counterpart to Superman, and pre-Crisis, there was pretty much no limit to her power. DC writers had the bad habit in the Silver Age of making Kryptonians however strong they needed to be in order to advance the plot. Despite her immense strength, she's not quite as powerful as Superman. While the supervillain Reign wanted to recruit Supergirl to her team of world killers after watching her fight Superman and appeared to be winning, the whole reason she appeared to be winning was because Superman was holding back. It does say something about how strong Supergirl is, however, that she is frequently mistaken for being stronger than Superman himself. That being said, Supergirl was strong enough to blow up the moon on her own, and that's an impressive feat that Hulk can't claim to have had. We're also going to include the older alternative universe version of Supergirl, Power Girl, as they're kind of the same person, and Supergirl herself did admit at one time that Power Girl was the stronger of the duo. Rather than destroying a moon, Power Girl instead moved the moon, all 81 billion tons of it. Dr. Manhattan. Dr. Manhattan is almighty strong in a different way. Whereas a character like Hercules can push Godzilla over, Dr. Manhattan has the ultimate power, the control over matter. This means that Dr. Manhattan can do whatever he wants. He's as close to a god as a man can be. This also means that he has boundless strength thanks to that ability. While his godlike power has left him emotionally detached from humanity with no real interest in them, it certainly did not impede him physically. Over the course of Watchmen, he begins to raise a whole new civilization on Mars, grows to 100 times his size on numerous occasions, and also makes copies of himself. So even if Dr. Manhattan was having an off day with a bad back and didn't feel like magicking his back better, he could blow himself up huge or create an army of him to move whatever he needs to be moved. This is simply assuming he doesn't just vaporize the object and reassemble it elsewhere. While it may be considered cheating, the fact remains that the Doctor really can lift whatever he wants, via his mind or physically, which raises the question, if he can lift anything easily, how's he so buff? The answer? Matter manipulation. Silver Surfer. If you're a die-hard Marvel fan, you probably realize that Norrin Radd would make this list. While he rarely gets a chance to show off his max strength due to his other powers of telekinesis that prevent him from needing to, the most powerful and favored herald of Galactus is absurdly strong. In fact, the Surfer is so strong that thanks to the power cosmic, it's believed that his physical strength is limitless. Even without the power cosmic, he's perfectly capable of crushing Doombot faces with a single punch. He's also able to stop Rhino mid-charge by grabbing his horn without any real difficulty. Not only that, but he can easily withstand blows from the Hulk, meaning that he's stable under pressure. That sort of endurance will make it a lot easier for someone with a lot of explosive strength but without endurance. What's most telling about the Silver Surfer is the confidence in his own ability. When he defeated Hulk with just one move, he didn't even flinch or look even slightly worried at the prospect of a giant green behemoth charging towards him. That's the level of confidence Surfer has in his ability. He's so strong and powerful that he didn't even have to worry about the idea of Hulk coming at him. He just slapped Hulk to the side as though it were nothing. Superboy. The Kryptonian lad, Kon-El, aka Connor Kent, is our next pick. Superboy has a rather interesting backstory. Rather than being a pure Kryptonian, he's actually a hybrid clone of Superman and Lex Luthor. Not only does he possess immense strength, although not quite to Superman's level, but he also has tactile telekinesis, which allows him to lift even more. While at present he doesn't quite match up to Superman in terms of strength, the most exciting thing about Superboy is that if the writers ever let him grow that little bit further into adulthood, he would actually be stronger than the Man of Steel himself. Thanks to his tactile telekinesis cloaking his body, he's able to lift entire buildings up without even smashing them. That is something that Hulk can't quite manage to do. While we're sure that he'd get the building off the ground, we're pretty sure it'd crumble. The resident kid hero in our combination is Spider-Man, who's frequently depicted as a teenager in many interpretations of the character. Spider-Man can, at most, manage to hold a bus over his head, which is impressive, but pales in comparison compared to Superboy. That's one very powerful kid that the Justice League has on their hands. Superboy Prime. While he's more of a villain now, Prime was a good guy once upon a time. One of many alternate versions of Clark Kent, Superboy Prime is everything that Superman is, but even stronger, and without that pesky weakness to magic that Superman has. Not only that, but he also comes packing a power suit that collects solar energy to maintain his power. This means that he's not getting tired anytime soon. When he's not destroying the Justice League Watchtower or knocking out Power Girl with one shot, he's delivering a punch so powerful that it rebooted the DC Universe. That's how strong we're talking here. This is a man who punched the universe so hard that Jason Todd came back to life. Hulk's feats of strength don't come anywhere near that. So we're pretty sure it's safe to say that Superboy Prime is able to lift a little bit more than the combined strength of Hulk, Superman, and Venom, even if the Joker's adding a few pounds to that. What's even more amazing is that Superboy Prime wasn't even at full strength when he threw his epic retcon-creating punch. What's even more surprising, though, is that our next entry can punch even harder than him. One Punch Man. We'll forgive you if you're not enough into manga to know who One Punch Man is. In short, he's a parody of every overpowered character from Superman to Goku. The comic takes the concept of being an almighty demigod and then brings up how boring life must be to be that strong. There's no enemy that One Punch Man cannot defeat with one punch. There's not even much out there that he can't lift. Yet despite his amazing strength, One Punch Man only gained his power through the minimal effort of doing a small workout routine of 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, and a 10-kilometer run. While we're sure that that sounds impressive to some of our audience, it's not even close to the kind of physical conditioning that non-superpowered athletes would do in real life. In spite of this, One Punch Man became the strongest person in existence. Why are we so confident that he's stronger than the Hulk, Spider-Man, Venom, and the Joker combined? Because he's overpowered by design. While comic book characters are often molded into something so powerful that it's hard to take seriously over time, this is caused by writers getting overexcited and wanting to push the boundaries of what they can do with a character. The downside is, it makes those comic characters seem too powerful. It opens up endless plot holes on why they can't just get anything done easily. One Punch Man, on the other hand, plays those tropes straight. He can do whatever he wants, and it's not a challenge for him. That's the whole joke of the comic. God. One Above All is literally God. There's nothing more to say. Of course he's stronger than the Hulk. While Dr. Manhattan is as powerful as God, the One Above All actually is one. First appearing in Sensational Spider-Man Volume 2, number 40, One Above All was introduced as the god and creator of the multiverse. This was the character's first appearance in comics, despite being mentioned by Doctor Strange in an issue some 30 years earlier. While there's a very similar DC character called the Presence, we really wanted to give Marvel a moment here. While Mephisto denies the One Above All to be God, he's the Marvel equivalent of the devil, so of course he'd deny a god. While there are relatively few recorded feats of One Above All's almighty strength, we do know, thanks to the official Marvel handbook, that he is all-knowing, all-present, and all-powerful. If he ever decided on a whim one day to merge Spider-Man, Hulk, the Joker, and Venom into one ugly, super strong monstrosity, we're pretty confident that he would beat him in a deadlifting contest. Wonder Woman. Even stronger than Supergirl, Wonder Woman is the strongest woman around. While an angry Hulk is certainly stronger than the two, we're pretty sure that Wonder Woman is stronger than base Hulk. Even with Spider-Man and Venom's combined force, and Joker's moral support, we're not convinced that Hulk could outlift Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman once lassoed the sun, you're welcome, and pulled it back to the solar system to stop the destruction of the galaxy, which is pretty strong. Aside from Silver Age antics, Wonder Woman has lifted giant asteroids, fought toe-to-toe with Superman, not to mention having more strength than the similarly powerful Aquaman, according to DC's website. Perhaps our favorite example of her strength, though, was when she pulled Martian Manhunter out of a black hole. The New 52 did significantly lower her power level, probably in an attempt to stop their heroes from being quite as ridiculous. Although we don't like to see her getting one over guys like Hercules, whose entire claim to fame is being strong, we do like to see her swing her sword around like a maniac, cutting up bad guys. While Hulk is one of the strongest Marvel characters, at base power he just doesn't have the unrelenting force of a lot of the DC lineup, who are famously known for being overpowered. Even with Venom and Spidey, they just don't add much physical power to him in order to match up. That's all we have time for today. Who are your favorite super strong characters? And could you see any of them lifting more than the Hulk? Write a comment below and tell us about it. And as always, click the subscribe button to see more.
Fantasy 15. Fantasy awaits.
It's really the costume that makes a superhero.
Is that dark enough?
Ever wonder why Batman is considered a superhero despite having no powers? It's the costume. Ever wonder why John Wick isn't? Of course not. He doesn't have a costume. Whether it's Batman, Superman, or Spider-Man, a lot of hard work goes into designing a costume. It doesn't matter if it's Spider-Man's color change in the comics or Olivia Munn's as Psylocke in the films. These costumes take a lot of time and work. Let us know what your favorites are, and remember to push that red button to subscribe for more.
We're bad guys. It's what we do.
Superman's first TV costume was brown. Superman's iconic red and blue is possibly the most famous superhero costume of all time. Superman is the American hero, so of course he has to have the colors of the US flag. Despite this, his initial appearances on screen were in black and white. When filming in black and white, it's crucial that you have an object that will show up and provide contrast on camera. That, combined with the lack of color in the finished product, means that it's not necessary to have the correct colors of the source material on set. While Superman's red and blue looks fantastic on the page and in glorious color, when filmed on a black and white camera, there was very little contrast between reds and blues, which would leave the suit looking poor. As a result, the filmmakers decided it would be better to have a gray and brown costume for the Man of Steel. Superman's spandex themselves were gray, which showed up just fine on camera. There still needed to be contrast between the spandex and the trunks that Superman wears over them, however, so the dark brown trunks came to be. This meant that while on screen, Superman had the contrast needed for his costume, despite being in glorious black and white. This is not the only time something like this has been done. The set for the Addams Family was brightly colored despite the comic book being known for its dark aesthetic, simply because the colors would show better on a black and white camera. Batman was originally to have a domino mask. While the creation of Batman is a complicated story built on plagiarism, credit stealing, and Bob Kane's ego, the origin of the Batman costume is actually kind of funny. The original design for Batman by Bob Kane was that of a red spandex-clad hero with a domino mask, not too unlike that of Zorro. The costume was inspired largely by Superman, the most successful comic superhero at the time. It wasn't until the revisions made by Bill Finger that we got a bat suit similar to what we have today. Bill Finger developed the bat-like cowl, albeit with longer ears and a darker gray aesthetic that helped to differentiate Batman from Superman. The intention was to make Batman less like Superman and more like the pulp character The Shadow. The Shadow, created long before Batman, was a millionaire playboy philanthropist who by night was a ruthless vigilante known as the Knight of Darkness. Batman adopted the wealth, took the moniker the Dark Knight, and ran around with guns like the Shadow did. The influence the Shadow had on Batman was astounding, with Bob Kane and Bill Finger stealing a large amount from the character to create Batman. In spite of this, however, it didn't go well for Bill Finger, who, despite creating the modern look for Batman, wasn't credited until long after he died a very poor man. The Yellow Ranger suit was meant for a man. If you were a kid growing up watching Power Rangers, you probably would have noticed that in spite of both the pink and yellow Power Rangers being played by women, only the Pink Ranger had a skirt. Trini, the Yellow Ranger, had a costume like the rest of the guys on the team. The reason for this was simple, but steeped in what is now a long history of adaptation. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers was based off the 17th installment in the Japanese Super Sentai series. Specifically, Power Rangers was based off Kyoryu Sentai Zyuranger, Marvel's closest equivalent to a comic superhero show of the time. Power Rangers would get its action scenes and monster footage from the Japanese show, and would fit said stock footage around original footage of the characters we now know as the Power Rangers. All they needed was to get the Power Ranger costumes for shots where the characters are in their base without their helmets on, and the show was cheap and easy to make. Trini's Yellow Ranger outfit sparked controversy due to her Asian heritage, and was originally owned by the Japanese Sentai character Boy, who, ironically enough, was a boy. As a result, he lacked a skirt, and Trini ended up in a more masculine costume. However, when Trini left the show, the role of Yellow Ranger was given not to a man, but to another actress. With the new Power Rangers movie having no stock footage, standing on its own as a movie, the decision was made to remove Kimberly's Ranger skirt too, leaving all the costumes being fairly gender neutral.
Hi folks, welcome back to Paradise Chevrolet Cadillac. Thank you for rejoining us. This is our 2017 Malibu LS. It is also on special. Taking a couple looks and a couple key features on this base model vehicle, this thing's not base at all. You got Android Auto, Apple CarPlay compatible inside. You have a color touch radio with steering wheel functionality to control your volume. You've got cruise control, 16-inch alloy wheels. Heck, you even got passive entry on this vehicle, which means you can keep your key in your pocket Walk up to your vehicle, push the button, it'll unlock and lock the vehicle without even having to take your key out. Better yet, when you get in the car, you don't even need to take the key out at all. You've got a push start ignition with this vehicle. This is a 2017 Marvel LS. It's on special. Come visit us down at Paradise at 27360 Yanez Road in the Temecula Auto Mall. Or give us a call at 951-699-2699. We look forward to hearing from you, and we'll see you soon. Take care.
Spider-Man's black costume cost $220. If you're a big fan of a comic, the idea that you could accidentally create one of the biggest story arcs in that comic's history is kind of a big deal. That was certainly true of Marvel fan Randy Schueller, who wrote into CBR 10 years ago to tell the story of how he accidentally created the symbiote. In the 1980s, Schueller entered a competition for aspiring comic writers. He pitched the story of Reed Richards making a new spider suit using the same unstable molecules that created the Fantastic Four costumes. The costume's original design was a black suit with a blood-red spider emblem on his chest. It was completed with the web wings from the original Ditko Spider-Man design. Marvel got back to Schueller saying they liked the concept and they wanted to buy it for $220 and give him the opportunity to write the story. Schueller gladly accepted and began talking with Tom DeFalco on the story. Unfortunately for Schueller, Marvel ultimately didn't like the stories that he came up with, but paid him for the idea. A year later, Secret Wars began and Spider-Man donned the black costume, but with a white emblem. Rather than being made by Reed Richards, it was an alien life form that eventually became Venom, something Schueller didn't particularly care for. Despite paying him for the design, Schueller has expressed disappointment that Marvel never actually credited him for the idea. He's quoted as saying, "Maybe Marvel is afraid I'll sue them or something, but that's not the case at all. I don't want any money. I don't want any legal rights to the Venom character. All I want is this, a mention in the letters column of Amazing Spider-Man recognizing me as the nameless fan who sparked the idea for the black suit, which eventually led to the idea for Venom, which eventually became the basis for this freaking monster movie we call Spider-Man 3. That's all I want." Is that so hard, Marvel? Psylocke's movie costume was almost black. The X-Men movies have always had an aversion to using the comic book costumes. We don't know if there's any real reason set in stone, but even after many successful comic book movies using the costumes, Fox has always been reluctant to put the X-Men in their real costumes. Rather than the brightly colored costumes that fans liked, everyone was decked out in black leather. While in X-Men The Last Stand, Psylocke ended up in normal civilian clothes with a black leather jacket, X-Men Apocalypse decided that for her bigger role, she should be portrayed more like her comic book counterpart. In a rare move by Fox, Psylocke's costume was almost identical to that of the comic, the only real difference being that this movie version showed off Olivia Munn's cleavage. There was just one problem. The costume was black. This annoyed Olivia Munn, who insisted that the costume should be purple, just like in the comics. The costume department obliged, and we ended up with a Psylocke who looked as though she had just walked off the page. This wasn't the end of their problems. The costume was incredibly tight, and Olivia Munn had a lot of trouble getting in it. So much trouble, in fact, that the costume department actually had to apply Vaseline in order to slip her into the ludicrously tight costume. Unfortunately for Munn, this wasn't the end of her troubles with the costume. It wasn't long until she got into it, only to have the bottom of the costume rip. While the costume was certainly a lot of trouble, we're glad that everyone involved making the costume stuck it out. Otherwise, we would have never gotten that fantastic costume that we can look at today. Ozymandias' movie costume spoofs Schumacher Batman. Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons put many painstaking hours into designing every little aspect of Watchmen. The book is layered with detail, from messy rooms intended to tell us more about the character to a consistent 3-panel layout in order to set a theme. Moore and Gibbons knew that the purpose of a costume was to tell us about a character. This can be seen with Ozymandias, who has clearly fashioned himself after the ancient Egyptians. The costume is intended to show off his great ego and belief that he is on a higher level than the rest of the world due to his great wealth and intelligence. The costume is an extension of his personality. The clothes may not make the man, but they help you understand the man. Zack Snyder, on the other hand, thought that it would be funny to change Ozymandias' costume to parody Joel Schumacher's Batman movies. The suit was overly rubbery and even sported the infamous nipples that made people loathe Schumacher's costumes for Batman and Robin. While it's a humorous reference at first, it couldn't be less fitting for the character or for the story that he exists in. This was one of a few
costume changes, including Night Owl 2, who had his costume tweaked slightly, but not outright changed, and Silk Spectre 2, who instead of wearing silk, wore latex. At the very least, though, we can say that Rorschach, Dr. Manhattan, and the Comedian got away with their original costumes intact. Superman's underpants are based off circus performers. We're all mature here, so let's just discuss an important fact of life. Superman doesn't know how to wear his underpants. Neither does Batman, and Cyclops and Wolverine could benefit from Aunt May teaching them how to dress. So why do so many superheroes share this trait? Well, they all copied Superman, and Superman's costume origins are pretty interesting. If you remove Superman's cape, what you essentially have is a man dressed in circus wear commonly seen on strongmen, gymnasts, and catch wrestlers. These wrestlers and acrobats would typically wear tight underwear-like shorts over their leggings as a means of protecting their modesty while wearing such skin-tight clothing. This look had a big part in inspiring Flash Gordon's design, who in turn inspired Superman, in a similar manner to how the Shadow inspired Batman. Superman was supposed to be the pinnacle of manliness, so imitating both the look of Flash Gordon and old-school catch wrestlers from the carnival was the perfect way to give that masculine look. While it may look silly today, those wrestlers and strongmen were considered the hardest men around, and that look gave off a similar vibe to typical tough guy looks of today. So when you next look at Superman, remember, those aren't underpants, they're a sign of manliness. Now, if only the DCEU Superman would put his back on. He looks wrong without them. Storm's wedding dress. Storm's beautiful wedding dress from her marriage to Black Panther has an interesting look about it. Not only is it unmistakably African, but it also doesn't really resemble something you'd usually see in a comic book. It's so detailed and so evocative of high fashion that it's hard to imagine a comic book writer coming up with it. After all, every other superhero wedding just features the bride in a typical wedding dress. With that in mind, it should come to no surprise that Storm's wedding gown was actually designed by Emmy Award-winning costume designer Sean Dudley Reeves. Dudley had worked on TV shows such as Guiding Light, which won him that award. Marvel knew that they wanted the dress to be special, which is why they outsourced the design to someone who really understood costume. Dudley wasn't too familiar with the character outside of the movies, so he and his team did a lot of research into the character's history in the comics in order to come up with a design that suited both Storm as a person and her cultural background. When it finally made it to the comic book page, Dudley was surprised by the changes artist Frank Cho made. In true comic book fashion, the design was changed to be bustier and shows off Storm's body more. While Dudley wasn't too happy with how it had been changed, he did say that he felt Marvel had done a good job translating the costume to the comic page. Margot Robbie didn't like Harley Quinn's suit. Margot Robbie's costume was a huge departure from the Arlene Sorkin-inspired Jester outfit. Despite initially covering all but Harley's face, as time has gone on, Harley Quinn's costumes have become gradually more and more revealing. While Margot Robbie's version of the costume was certainly not as revealing as her corsets from the Suicide Squad comic and Arkham games, it certainly wasn't the most comfortable to wear. We don't imagine that it was all that fun to shoot action scenes 9 to 5 while wearing shorts 2 sizes too small. Robbie didn't seem to think so either. Despite comic fans loving her revealing look in the Suicide Squad movie, Margot wasn't completely comfortable in the costume, especially not when she was soaking wet from the rain scenes and would then have to get her lunch from the cafeteria. She described the ordeal as being very embarrassing and has said that the costume certainly isn't something she'd personally wear. We imagine that Harley's next appearance in the DC Extended Universe will see her in a different costume. We can only imagine it'll be one more akin to the Arkham games, but only time will tell. Spider-Man's suit was originally red and black. That's right, despite being best known for his red and blue costume, the original design for Spider-Man was slightly different. The Marvel method of creating characters at the time was pretty simple. Stan Lee would come up with a name and very little else. From there, Steve Ditko would create the design of the character based solely off the name. Steve Ditko's vaguely luchador-like original design of Spidey's costume has the black arms and legs leading to the webbing and towards the spider logo that we all know and love. While the red and blue we have today have black web lines that just sort of appear, they were supposed to flow organically from the black of his costume. The blue in early Spider-Man comics isn't supposed to be the color of the fabric. Blue was used to highlight black in comics, which is why Superman's hair often had a streak of blue going through it. When John Romita Sr. took over, he either misunderstood the color palette or decided to change it to the classic blue and red. While it does make the webbing look more like it was stamped on, it did become the iconic look that's remained to this day. The concept of a black and red spider suit didn't completely go away though, as Alex Ross attempted to recreate the look in concept art for the first Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie. Miles Morales would later don a black and red costume in the Ultimate Universe, but the design greatly differed. Instead of being red with black, the costume is mostly black with inflections of red. Not only that, but it won't be too long until Lord and Miller bring this version to the big screen with their Ultimate Spider-Man movie.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
What?
Well, that's all we have time for today. Do you have any fun stories about superhero costumes? What was your favorite from this list? Leave us a comment below and let us know. And as always, subscribe to CBR for more fun videos like this. After being stuck in the terrible, horrifying, amazing Spider-Man film universe over at Sony, Spider-Man finally swung over to the Marvel Cinematic Universe last year with Captain America Civil War. One bomb of a Netflix show aside, it seems like Marvel Studios can do no wrong. However, if Marvel pulls from the wrong source material for their Spider-Man films, they could easily ruin the wall crawler. Marvel, please don't put these on the big screen. If you want to see more videos like this one, be sure to subscribe to CBR and keep your notification senses tingling.
Oh, Spider-Man.
Robot parents. In the last film series, we spent a lot of time invested in Peter Parker's parents. All of those flashbacks and references to Peter's dad being an incredible scientist paid off with a secret subway train. As weird as that was, it could have been much worse, and much weirder. The 90s were a bad time for Spider-Man. Be prepared to hear that a lot. The general darkening of the comic book industry was not kind to Peter Parker, and this story is Exhibit A of that. In Amazing Spider-Man 365, Peter returns home after battling the Lizard to come face to face with his supposedly dead parents. Peter, Mary Jane, and Aunt May are all skeptical at first, which is a healthy attitude to have if you live in the Marvel Universe. But they eventually come to welcome Richard and Mary Parker back into their lives. Bad move, Spidey. As it turns out, they're not his parents at all, but robots. After a fight ensues where Peter drops the horrendously dumb "how can I fight my own father" line, Peter discovers that this was all a plot by Harry Osborn from Beyond the Grave to mess with him. It's official. All of Spidey's friends and family hate him. Spider-Man gives birth to himself. No, my friends, no, that is not a typo. We really wish it was. Back when Sony wasn't royally messing up Spider-Man's movies, they actually put out the awesome Spider-Man 2. You know, the one where Peter loses his powers for no reason? Okay, it wasn't always awesome. Anywho, in 2004, Marvel Comics decided it was high time to give Spider-Man something fans never really wanted, but in theory sounded relatively benign: organic web shooters, just like the movies. One would think that Marvel could just explain that this was simply Peter's powers advancing and growing stronger with age. But they felt that they had a better story to tell. One that involves a new villain who wants to mate with Spidey and turn him into a giant spider. But wait, it gets better. Once Peter transforms and dies shortly after, a new being bursts out from the spider carcass, with that person being Peter Parker. No, this isn't a clone. Trust us, we'll get to that. But the genuine Peter who just gave birth to himself from his own death body. Can we get any arachnologists on this? Anyone? So after all that, Peter defeats the new villain easily with his new organic webbing powers and ability to telepathically speak to insects. Wow, that's a whole lot of nonsense just to get organic webbing. All you had to do in the video game based off the first movie was put in a cheat code, but yeah, sure, this works too. 6 Arms of Spider-Man, the oldest story to make our list. This was somehow supposed to be the dramatic 100th issue of Amazing Spider-Man back in 1971. Written by Stan Lee, we expect something amazing.
What's up, my card? I'm gonna be in game chat the whole time. So... No. You can just talk to the good people. So join my group and... you can talk to us. I'll be in the group. Yeah. Anyways, let's just stay in part of that. Let's just stay in party chat. You don't have to. Also, the girl, the group, fuck their bacon. She takes me from the group and got you. Yeah. I joined the group, but I'm not going into the game chat because I'm in team chat. Good morning. Or it's actually still morning. It's afternoon in like 4 minutes. I'm late. Okay, I am so close to being dead right now. I am literally the wind up blowing me away from it. Dude, I'm at 15 hope those locals are dying.
Hello? Okay then.
DeAndre. DeAndre? DeAndre. It's time for you to get ready. You have to get ready first. Or you could just see whether or not it's on. Oh wait, it's not on. It's 9:16.
What?
Let me speak slowly. What? Get ready for school. Come on, go hop in the shower. I hope you enjoy that beta. Because I'm going to be observing. Look at that.
Ikora, if you tell me this is a practical joke, well, it kills me to say it, but I would be really impressed.
Impressing you, Cade, is the easiest thing I'll do all day.
Let's get serious, people.
Zavala, this is my serious face. Can't you tell?
Ikora, what have you got?
Someone or something has sabotaged the Skyline defense systems.
And comms have been spotty for the last few hours. Every sensor beyond the wall has gone dark.
Maybe it's just the storm. Maybe it's... What are the set feeds telling us?
Nothing.
Well, that's good, right?
No. I mean, they're not there. There are no satellites.
And that's not good.
Battle stations! Everyone with me, now!
DeAndre, it's not working.
I had to wait. I had to wait a little bit longer. Mine already started. I've already started.
It's error or something.
Just press circle and then start back up again.
I think I haven't tried that.
You think I thought about you trying that?
Make sure you have to try deleting the game re-downloading. I do not want to do that.
Hey, the audio is gone.
Let's get my headphones. Hold up.
Remember when I told you that you fly too fast? Forget I said that. Fly fast.
Record your predetermined character so you won't be able to track them all. You can just jump right into the game.
They're attacking the big light ball. No.
Yeah, they're attacking the tank.
Yep. They're attacking the light bulb. Oh man, it's gonna be lit.
Wow.
My God.
Time to look at those weapons.
Woo!
Woo! Look at that freaking scout rifle though.
I'ma stop.
Big armor, bigger guns, like giant space rhinos. Smash first, ask questions forever.
I think it's finally good.
This is Commander Zavala. Civilians, report to evac points. Guardians, rendezvous in the plaza.
There we go. Let's cool down.
I'm only gonna play for 30 minutes, so you better be off while I'm gone. Cause I got school.
Zavala's doing the hero thing in the plaza. Me?
You have to set an alarm for 10:30.
Yeah, sure.
So set it up tomorrow at 10:30.
Huh? No, I was talking about my brother. It started at 10:30. Wait, what the? Why do I have an exotic in my inventory already?
Because it's a beta. You always start with a weapon.
Nice.
Sunshine. Wow, this game looks freaking amazing. Well, it's not being cut back by the PS3, sad to say.
I'm loving this thing already. I'm gonna fight. This is gonna be my first exotic. My God.
Oh, my first exotic is some kind of.
There's no character creation. You just choose your class. I chose Hunter.
And I switched because Warlock, you get that blue gun, that's always super stuff, and for the Titan, you get that freaking ultra cheap machine gun. Wow, this game. Oh my God. This is destroying the freaking legionary freaking armor. Oh, you're absolutely gonna love the Hunter's abilities too.
Dang it, I can't blink.
They took it out.
What?
Yeah.
No!
Warlocks still have it. They thought it wasn't a good idea. They're already ultra evasive. Like, you can still dodge, of course. You gotta do a shade step or, like, you know, this weird marksman dodge.
They took out blink. My gosh. Oh, they do such a thing.
I think it's time to use that scout rifle.
This is an assault rifle. I'm a Destiny god, you don't know that. You didn't know that. Ow.
Watch out, Marky. Ready to get out. Your power weapon.
It's just a sniper.
I know. There's incredibly hard.
You didn't just assault the city. Look at the Traveler.
What are you doing with the Traveler? Wait, look. Those countless days of glitching in the garage, huh?
They are attacking the Traveler. We must get to it now.
Hey, players! There's players, dude!
Nice, at least you won't go out this alone.
Oh! What?
The thing freaking spawned.
Why me?
Dang, that's what the action looks like. This is freaking awesome. In 2 months, Warlock's using that exotic that does the chain lightning. You notice how when yours kills the enemy, it explodes and chains
But
off.
we are better. We will hold this line until the last civilian is safely away.
No, the freaking tree! No, the vault space!
Oh.
No! It's not there! Haha, the Eververse is burning up. That's what that gets.
Don't let them pass the gate. The evac shuttles are back there.
Wait, is this the is it still the freaking the knife?
No, you got the pole.
Oh yeah, Mr.
It's
Crab.
incredibly hard to freaking hit too, as an arch strider. I can already see the warlocks or whatever freaking camping with that dawn blade.
That man ship is next to us.
There's some more to lot. Ooh.
Show them what Guardians are made of.
Oh my god.
What is
Yo, this game is so rad.
I love art. That was actually pretty darn amazing. Pretty ground. This better not just American game. They should learn.
And Monty, you know why they call me aimbot? Watch. Ah, crap, I didn't get the headshot because I ran out of ammo.
I really love the freaking power ammo change.
Wonder why you're talking
Even the truthful that you can pretty quick.
Wow.
The last of the shuttles is away. But the speaker, he never made it.
Oh.
I'm going to look for him.
No!
Well,
no, the
speaker. He sold us freaking level 20 stuff this whole time, so I was really good for it.
Well, level 20's a max. Of course he had to.
Yeah, it's level 40 for like almost 2 years.
Oh no, she made me use my freaking suit.
Look. Wait, look.
I know, I saw this part.
8 more minutes.
Wait, what?
8 more minutes.
Till what?
Yeah. I actually love that double bomb scheme because this is the first time I've seen an NPC use it. With the golden
I gotta get used to this crap. The freaking punch button being R1 and the grenade button being L1.
You gotta fix the remote. Well, just hope you won't throw it.
I'm thinking my control.
America's inbound. Shield drop on the command ship.
They finally got me.
Zavala, picked up that Guardian you never shut up about? Hold on back there!
Oh god, I just want to use my ability. I changed my controller and now my ability is ass.
Stupid.
Do something.
I changed the channel. Definitely use my way.
Alright, Guardian. Time to kick them where it hurts.
Didn't want to give us that super retarded chaperone quest. Like the PvP one wasn't like as bad.
Only use chaperone because it had slugs.
Freaking nerf last word. That was freaking terrible.
Let us know when shields are down. We'll hit that
And
shit
now the
with everything
freaking
we
last
got.
word is freaking up. You still gotta worry about the freaking the strike. The gay ass strike that was twice as hard as the freaking nightfall.
Carnoon.
Let me take a look. The shield generator at the bottom of the ship.
Oh yeah, you can't spam it, but you can't spam this. I just know the dodge is the ability. You can't even spam abilities like that anymore.
No, the one was Destiny 1.
Hey, what if the speaker's the one that called everyone? Like, called all these enemies?
Huh?
What if the speaker called all these dudes?
Well, then you must have people, or unless it was just like some ridiculous
You get tired of that.
But even if you was, first of all, what would be helping the same people who like try to wipe out his race?
What even is the speaker's race? Speaker's a warlock. Since when?
Look at it.
Just because of the robes doesn't mean he's a warlock.
That doesn't mean he's a warlock.
But what's his ultimate though? What's his super?
I don't know, but I see a warlock I love how you're trying to balance.
I still gotta get used to that freaking dodging.
Yeah.
I love how it shows the little shades of the show. Like the thing that shows that the thing's locked up.
Player comes out of nowhere, steals my freaking kills. Wow.
Oh, that's new stuff.
So jump and do a slam.
Oh, I got it.
Almost like two like sound. 1 minute.
Oh yeah, the bomb.
Shield generator taking straight ahead.
You suicide bomber! Hate those guys. There's gonna be a boss. No, Cade is the hunter.
I mean,
so yeah, you got
Destroy the turret. The shield
I hope I was actually supposed to jump down here.
Looks like you were. Look down here.
quick shot.
Those things are directly hitting. Oh! You freaking maniac!
What am I shooting?
That stand down there. That thing is only.
I just got wrecked.
You see that spinning stand down there below
yeah.
the big one? Yeah, shoot that.
like that.
Shoot the other one.
It's forcing me to go other places. I can show you the world.
Man, at least your freaking character has ragdoll now.
Characters have always had ragdoll, it's just never ragdoll. Come on!
10:30, DeAndre.
Oh my god, what's going on? Oh my god.
Are you kidding me?
Oh yeah, the long range weapon, DeAndre.
I do, but I don't know if I can snipe through the thing. This part's so annoying for a hunter.
Jump on a platform to be safe.
But I'm not safe! I'm gonna try one more time, then I'm gonna get off. Sean, you better get off too.
Okay, so when the lower thing comes...
Come on!
When the upper one comes, jump on the lower one.
That time, I didn't do anything. Freaking God.
Alright, put your socks on. Here, let me see if I can do it.
Alright.
rising. It's working. The shields are down. Zavala? Amanda, we're headed topside. Amanda! Anyone?
Sean, once my brother's done with this mission, I'm gonna go. Once my PS4 turns off, you get off too, alright?
Oh, there's a scene where you first see Dominus go.
What, Sean?
What mission is it?
This mission, the tutorial, whatever it is.
The home, is it called Homecoming?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing that one too.
Alright. When you're done, you get off too, alright?
Yeah. Oh! Nice uppercut.
Do not look at me, creature. You are weak, undisciplined, cowering behind walls. You're not brave. You've really forgotten the fear of death.
It's not wrong.
Allow me to reacquaint you. Your kind never deserve the power you're given. I am wrong. And your light is mine.
Stop turning on my clothes.
Oh my god. Nelly got a boys. help us supposed to jump down here.